Infinite Weekend. What's up?
Actually, fucking nailed it.
That kind of worked out.
That's great.
I only attempted that like 4 times. Oh my god. Well, welcome back, everybody. Infinite Weekend. Sorry for last week. Josh had cooties.
I had a severe case. I'm actually a flu survivor.
Right.
I don't know if you know that or not.
Right. Did you get your vaccine?
No.
Okay, for the flu.
Now I'm stronger because I had it.
That's right. Yeah.
We're all proud of you for doing that.
Well, yeah, somebody had to do it.
Yeah. Well, we got a mystery person on the pod this week. Brandon B, as he's been known before on the podcast.
Yes, people call me B. My name is Brandon, and I've been a long-time listener. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, one of our big fans.
Excited.
And he's also popped up in a couple of stories, most notably the one where he stole the girl I was talking to. I got pissed off, ran out of the bar into the street, was crying, and then he consoled me, but it was all his fault. That's this guy.
I'll be honest with you. I actually forgot about the first part. All I remember is the crying.
Yeah,
I forgot about
that's
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Right, that's the climax.
I got you.
Yes, I'm that guy. Funny story. On my point of view, I had no idea Zach was talking to this girl.
Had no idea.
I
didn't
drunk.
exist.
I had no idea. I saw a girl. Girl was alone, and I walked up and started talking to her.
It's fair game.
Right. Even though I was literally like 4 inches from her, like facing her, you just like blocked me out.
You should have peed on
Like
her.
in basketball, just
That's what it was. You should
Funny
have.
thing, I don't know why you thought I was gonna just take her in the middle of the dance room and just start fucking her.
right. I was drunk.
What is this, like
in
an
my
episode
mind.
of Wild Kingdom?
That was it in my mind. It was like they were dancing, and then like I guess you like went off.
She
towards
asked
the
where the
bathroom or
restroom
something?
was.
Yes, what it was.
And I said, I know exactly where it is. So I grabbed her hand and started walking away.
That's it.
And then I looked across the bar, and I was like, where's my friend Zach going? And he was storming out. Like, he had this
He's
walk.
gonna go fuck her.
He had this walk, and literally I dropped her hand and said, where's my friend? And just stormed out, and then I saw him in the middle of the street crying, and I was like, who hurt you?
Where is he?
Yeah, I was like, I'll beat his ass. And the whole time it was me.
Who hurt you?
Who hurt you?
I know.
And he didn't even tell me until the next day. Funny story, we were actually laying in bed, and we had got Taco Bell the night before, and we woke up, and there was Taco Bell everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, Zach, so who hurt you last night? And he was like, you.
The Mexican pizza.
Yeah, dude.
All the stuff spread on the bed.
Yeah, it looked like we were werewolves and transformed, but our victims were Taco Bell. Is what it looked like.
He pulled out a quesadilla he was laying on. He pulled it out and started eating it.
It's super weird hearing, like, I've heard all these stories over the last, 15 years, all this stuff, and then it's nice having someone that was actually there too.
Yeah.
A counterpart. I'm like, holy shit, this really
Have
happened.
like a different perspective, like
Yeah.
those, like you'll see like a episode on a sitcom or something. Where they'll show like the same incident from different points of view.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm that guy.
Oh yeah. Yep. So besides you, we have our mutual buddy Doo and Scoot. That's the nicknames we've been
We're
given.
known as a core four.
Cool, we've known.
Yeah, I knew Drew. I didn't know his name was. Did you say Doo?
Doo.
I didn't never heard that. Okay, cool.
It's his nickname. I don't even know what the fuck mine is. Do I have one?
Your guy.
Guy. That's right. Mine's a guy.
So I have a 14-year-old daughter, and first time, or I guess she hadn't really met him in a while, and she said, who was that guy? And I was like, that's just Guy.
That's just Guy.
And so now she's 14 years old, and she still calls him Guy.
I
like
just
that
call
a
her
lot,
girl.
I like that a lot.
I like it when it was her birthday recently, and I signed the card to girl from Guy.
That was
sense.
great. That was great.
This is kind of a thing now. So we're the core four, getting into all sorts of shenanigans over the years.
If you ever want to know some stories, I got some stories about this guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We talked about doing a special on that.
Yeah,
a
I think
reminiscing hour.
if we can get the other two in here and have like a thing, we definitely going to need more mics because
I could probably just sit and listen.
One. Yeah, and just we could do a whole kind of thing on that. We can make it like a bonus episode, not like a full episode.
You have to subscribe and pay to get that episode.
Right,
Funny is I would
be on the paywall.
I would really like to get Scott on here just because he's so he's our like timekeeper, and everything is always scheduled out through this guy.
Oh, he's the planner.
Yes,
He's the planner.
You got to have
and
a planner in
and
your
our
group.
hype man.
You got to have a planner.
Oh, he's definitely a hype man.
Yeah, you got to have a planner in the group.
He's the planner. He's the hype man. He's the coordinator. Like if we haven't like hung out in a while, he's like, hey guys,
That's how he talks.
That's how he
too.
I like how he talks like.
really need some guy time. He's lives with like all women.
Yeah.
So it's just estrogen
No men.
to the max. And
Really?
so
He
he
has
seriously says
a
that.
dog that's a female, cat, 2 cats that are female, 2 girls, and his girlfriend.
Right. Yeah. So every once in a while,
That's why he's
I
the
gotta
planner.
I gotta hang out with the boys.
That's why he's the planner.
So,
Help me.
You're right. So it's really funny. I can tell whenever he's hit critical mass because he's wanting to go do something. But yeah, so get him on. He would be high energy, and then Drew is our he's our
Intellect.
our analyst.
I met Drew
He's our
years.
stats guy.
I met
Stats
Drew
guy.
years ago.
Yep, that's right. You did meet him.
I think I was still at CD. I
Yeah,
think
we were
I
all
met
at CD
him.
at the time.
We hadn't been friends that long when I met him.
Yeah. But yeah, Drew's he's our stats guy, analyst. He's or as I like to say, the well actually guy. So you'll be talking about something and you'll like say a fact and he'll be like, well actually,
And that's when you want to throat chop.
and he spits out the facts and you're like, oh.
Well, his facts are right. So
But they're correct.
So you're like, I need you.
Can't be mad.
You'll say something, be like, can you confirm?
Right, exactly.
was Scott was always he's
Judge's
the
rule.
emotional one. So if he goes off on a tangent about something that's not accurate, we always just look at Drew.
Right. It's like we need to confirm upstairs in the booth. Right.
Yep.
Right.
He's our Mike Pereira.
Right. That's exactly what
Poor
it is.
Scott, you're like, keep going. You got the all clear.
Right. Who's the college football guy? Sachator. Was that his name? That does the replay, the official guy, whatever.
You just watched a game.
Yeah, no, I forgot his name. But anyway, yes, Scott's watching Scott and Drew get into it because Drew's the stats guy. Scott's like the high energy hype guy. He's just all gas, no brakes.
I like it.
And that sometimes they go head to head. They're like brothers. It's really hilarious sometimes.
It really is.
I love it. But and then me and B just like sit back and laugh and watch.
And hopefully,
We just giggle like
hopefully,
little
girls. Giggle.
hopefully instigate.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
like to do. Yeah, I like to keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. The latest fantasy football thing was
Yeah.
crazy. That was
He's
crazy.
still mad at me about that one.
Is he? Yeah.
Fantasy football sometimes brings out the worst in people.
I went to the Denver Titans game. We talked about it some more, but yeah, that was a crazy.
He doesn't understand my point of view, so let's just let it happen.
I get yours. Like I told him, yours makes sense. Like you wanted Kamara, so it's like whatever.
Whenever, even
all
now,
fair.
whenever I text him, he's like, "I'm always gonna veto all your trades." I'm like, okay,
He's like, I'll show you.
he's out of spite.
He did say that. He says spite now. So I was like, okay. If your spite equals me getting Jameson Williams, then I'm down for it. So
Yes, I did help you on that trade. So you did.
yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, Scoot. But
Yeah, it just kept escalating, and we just could not get a trade going. So he was just like, "Fuck it, here's everything. Here's the farm." So, and it worked out.
if he had a first round pick, he probably would have given that to you.
Probably, yeah. Which I mean, that's what I was going for. I mean, honestly, spoiler alert, Scott, I would have taken Burks.
I wish he would call in.
You'll hear this episode.
His ears were burning. He just called in real quick.
Right, exactly. He knows that.
How did you just say, Zach?
I would have taken Burks, but it got vetoed, and we couldn't get a thing going. So, like, he had to really just hammer it home with Jameson Williams.
Well, I don't know who the other people were that vetoed.
I don't know either. Apparently, it's a third of the league, so it's only 4 are needed to veto, not 5. Which is to me, since it's my opinion of it, since it's a dynasty league, there shouldn't be a veto. Everyone understands. Everyone in the league knows what they're trying to do. They're trying to play for the future. Sometimes they're playing for this year, trying to win. You're maneuvering. You're trading picks, and so nobody's stupid. No one's going to give up a ridiculous. Well, we kind of saw some ridiculous trades this week, but so maybe there is a place for veto, but the bar needs to be higher than 4.
I do
needs to be
think
like
the bar
8.
needs to be higher. I don't want to get rid of vetoes just because I do. Some people won't have an opportunity to even look at some of these trades, and I don't think that's quite fair. But
Won't get a chance to even look at them. What do you mean?
so, like Robert works, Saturday nights, and he won't even get a chance to look at a trade because someone put it in, and then maybe he gets. He's not planning for Sunday, or he wasn't planning on that person not having that player or whatnot. So I like the 24-hour period where you can veto.
Yeah, I just think that it should be 4. It should be a consensus.
Yeah, it should be
veto.
higher. Yeah.
It should be consensus. Which
When we switch over to sleeper, it definitely, I think we should have it set at a standard 4 or 5.
right, I think so.
Because even when
Well,
you do have people like, Scoot, whenever he does veto a trade because out of spite, I mean, it doesn't make any difference. It's because it's one guy. So
Well, I think it. Yeah, we're talking about like if it was a redraft, that's one thing because you don't want people selling their entire team because their season's lost to try to help out their buddy who's got it playing in the playoffs. Like you don't want that. We don't really do that in a dynasty league, so you don't need it for that reason. But to your point, I guess is if someone's trying to just stop the trade because someone else's trade because it's negatively affects their team or their that week or whatever. I mean, that's just part of it.
yeah, but also for me, me vetoing like Scott's, that was a tactic.
Yeah, right.
Of me, I'm wanting that player, so I don't even have an opportunity to even talk to you about it if I didn't see it.
No, they should be able to see it, I guess, and then maybe do a counter offer, but not veto it just to stop it from happening. Like if you want a counter offer, that's different.
So like right now, if I were to traded Tom Brady again to one of my other guys, to Andy, remember how I got first and second round pick for Tom Brady?
Yeah.
So honestly, that should have been vetoed.
Yeah,
But it wasn't.
Old ass quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
So that kind of stuff, I mean, I don't know what he was thinking on that one, which I'm glad he did do it because it set me up for the future.
Right. I got you. But
Those lopsided things like that should definitely be vetoed.
yeah, I suppose. I guess there's a place for it, but again, it should be a really high bar. So I think if it's a 12-team league, you take out the 2 that are involved in it, they don't get to veto themselves, right? Because they're part of the trade, so that doesn't make sense. So then you have 10 left. In order for it to be consensus, meaning more than 50%, it has to be 6 people. So you get 6 votes, and then it goes down.
Definitely, yeah, I think higher than 4.
Yeah,
Maybe
so I think
6 might be a little high, maybe 5.
Because 6 is half the league, but it's a consensus if you take out the 2 that are
About
far apart.
4.5.
Someone like daintily presses veto, halfway presses veto.
Maybe they have little hands.
I guess. I can tell Josh is like, kill me now.
Well, no, I was going to be like, it's 33 degrees outside.
Are you checking the weather?
How about the weather? I was like, I don't know anything about this fucking virtual football shit, man.
These are our make-believe teams. I love them.
I've played one time.
My guys are
years
playing
ago.
their heart and soul out. All right.
Yeah, well, because we had that league at work, and I was like, I've never tried. Like, I watch football. I was like, yeah, I'll try it. Sign me up. I had no idea what I was doing, and they kind of got the gist. So I was like, okay, cool. So I signed up, and then like, what sucks is you end up like you get really into it. Mm-hmm. You're like, man, I'm really kicking ass right now. And then I did it for like 1 year, and I was like, okay, I don't think I'll ever do it again. But it's worth a try if you've never done it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean that one though, it's hard to get into the ones that are like free. I've got to have some skin in the game.
Well, I didn't have anything to compare it to. So like, obviously, when there's money involved, it makes it more exciting.
Yeah. Well, like I'm in a work league now, and I totally forgot to play somebody. I had Joe Burrow playing.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know who that is.
Well, he was on a bye week, so he wasn't even playing, and I totally forgot to swap him out because it's on a different app, and I just don't have any money in the game, and I was just kind of like,
You don't really have any motivation.
I don't have like daily motivation to go on there and check that one.
Right.
So I'd really just check the ones that I have money in, and I'm also the reigning champion, but in both of them.
Yeah, because I used to make fun of it a lot, and then when I realized that basically there's money, and then you can talk shit with your friends.
Right.
I was like, okay, totally get it.
Yeah, I purposely, in one of our leagues, changed my name just because Zach doesn't like Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah, I think Tom Hanks is a bitch.
Old Tom Hanks is cool.
Old Tom Hanks.
New Tom Hanks.
New Tom Hanks sucks. Right, see, we're in agreement.
I literally changed my name just so I could, on the stat line, whenever I beat him, it says Tom Hanks ass beat Zach's team.
Right.
I like that.
But then I had to change my name to Pinocchio's erect nose. So it was Pinocchio's erect nose versus Tom Hanks' ass that week. So,
like that.
of course, Tom Hanks' ass won and
you
beat
can't-
Pinocchio's erect nose that week.
It happens.
So, yeah, it was a good move. It was a good mental tactic, right? That affected my players in the NFL that had no idea what
It's come full circle.
they were even on our teams.
I like it.
Yeah, fantasy football is hella fun. I'm into it. if I sucked at it, I wouldn't be as into it. But out of this year, I'm terrible in the Dynasty League. It's awful.
Yeah, Dynasty for me is really fun just because you get to keep some players at the end of the year. So not only you can't just trade everybody if you're not doing well. You got to keep some players. Actually, Zach did trade everybody.
Yeah, they're all getting up there in age, so I was like, we play for the future. Got rid of all the sold them high before they fell off.
Okay.
Kind of what I did last year.
Yeah.
Sold off Zeke, sold off Tom Brady, bunch of players. Just restocked up for the draft.
It's trying to mirror it as much as possible to like managing an actual team of an actual roster.
I mean, I did have a pep talk with my team. Called up Ken Walker and said, "God, you got to step this up, man."
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. Build your relationships.
The year that I won, I DM'd Derrick Henry on Instagram.
I'm sure
I saw a noticeable difference.
I'm sure he responded.
100%.
I'm sure he responded right away.
Then I think he got injured, but
Because your message.
it was all me. I did it. I'm sorry. I ruined our Super Bowl chances for my fantasy dreams. But yeah, you have to. It really gets me to where fantasy football makes me watch more games that I would never watch.
I get the appeal.
But
Well, yeah, if you're watching the Lions and the Rams, that game's gonna be boring. But if you have a couple players, I'm gonna
Kind of matters.
you kind of watch it exactly. You at least go watch the highlights. You watch, check the stat lines, stuff like that. But
Drew literally sits at home and he watches the games and he'll do the math in his head while watching the games, and he'd be like, "I'm winning right now."
You're like, you're not. And he's like, actually, I am.
is there a stat guy?
And I'll check the stats, and he was super close to his actual. I'm like,
He did that like after somebody did a play, and it was just he rattled it off. He knew exactly how many points that play was worth. I'm like, you bastard.
It's pretty good.
In PPR, non-PPR, it was like, yeah.
and I'm over here stumbling on my words because I'm dyslexic. Awesome.
Right.
Thanks, Drew.
What is math? Well, anyway, I guess we can get off this football talk. What we were going to talk about today was, what did we say? We were going to talk
Muskie.
about. Talk about what?
Muskie.
Muskie.
Oh, Elon.
Oh, Elon Musk. Yeah. And Twitter, I was like, Muskie.
Not the fish.
The scent, Muskie.
Muskie.
Yeah, Elon Musk and the whole Twitter situation, which I'll admittedly I have not been on Twitter up until recently. I jumped on Twitter a long time ago when it first kind of gained popularity, and then somewhere along the way I was like, this is dumb, and I was never really on it, so I deleted it. When I jumped back on after this whole Elon thing, because I was like, this is interesting. I got to see what's happening here, right?
Yeah,
so I jumped back on.
Let this sink in.
Yeah, and it is fascinating. I mean, what's your general take on the whole?
I never had Twitter. I had it for 2 weeks just because I had Facebook and everything else. And then you were on Twitter and I had other friends on Twitter. And they were like, celebrities are on here too. You can talk to celebrities. And of course, well, I can talk to celebrities. Cool. So I jumped in there.
You tried.
I tried it for 2 weeks and I'm like, this is lame. So I got off of it. So that's where it stopped. And then here recently with the way Twitter was going and then the whole deal or no deal going down with Elon, and then $41 billion later, he's the man in charge. And then all I saw was a video where he came in with that actual house sink, and all grinning like an idiot,
Full on dad joking.
Yeah. And then we saw a video of that employee, she works 1 hour a week.
Right. I think
It was up on the roof with her Capri salad, and then just oversees the beautiful city. And this is my day.
I don't know if that was like on purpose or just perfect timing for all those videos to come out.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Of those tech employees
doing nothing.
Coming in, just waltzing in, having a matcha latte, and then hanging out on the roof.
All for free.
Cornhole. Right, all for free. They did a meeting, and then they had lunch, and then and you're like, when does work happen?
Because I was pissed off first. I was like, why didn't I apply? Because doing nothing looked cool.
Yeah, I know.
Not cool now because he went there and cleaned house.
So it's when does work happen? And then all of a sudden now, 95% of the workforce?
He cleaned house. Well, he fired 40% when he started?
I think half the workforce he fired as soon as
all the execs.
All the execs, all the top brass. And then he sent out an ultimatum basically to all the employee email was like, you're going to work your asses off. It's going to be balls to the wall. If you can't handle it, get out. Right?
Okay.
Because we're trying to Right, because and the thing is, like, I've heard that Elon Musk is kind of like that, like, because he works nonstop. He sleeps 6 hours a day. When he's not sleeping, he's working. Is how that dude operates, 24/7, except for 6 hours every night to sleep. That's it. As soon as he gets up, he's working. And a lot of times he sleeps at the Tesla factory or wherever he's at, SpaceX, whatever. So in his mind, they're doing something important, and if you're going to be here, you're going to be part of something important, and you're going to work at it, right? It's not going to be this casual, just a job kind of thing.
Well, he's not setting unrealistic things.
I don't think
that's
so.
just a normal work for. These people are just probably so culturally shocked that they weren't doing anything, and now they actually have to work.
But what I think he's actually doing, I think he's actually like, the ultimatum that he sent out was like, it's going to be hardcore. I don't think it actually was. I think what he was trying to do is let the trash take itself out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Too, yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually going to be like that. So he's like, well, if anybody's scared by this email and they're going to take the easy way out, right, then they don't belong here.
I would have loved to have been out in the street and seen these people leaving, just the kind of people that were leaving upset. I wish I could have just watched.
And since they quit voluntarily, he doesn't have to pay them unemployment.
That's good stuff.
So it's kind of genius. And someone did the math on it. With they had like 7,500 employees, was like $1.3 billion. If you say that everyone on average, if you took the highest and the lowest and made it an average out, it's like $200,000 a year per employee times 7,500 employees is like $1.3 billion every year that they have to pay in employee salary and benefits and everything, right? So, which is a lot. I mean, they always say, usually your biggest overhead is
Your employees. Sure.
Right? So, it was not one of the biggest. So that's massive, 1.3 billion, and he cut that down to like what it is currently to like 180 million. So, I think it's actually strategic. It's not a mess up. I think he's doing it on purpose.
He's not an idiot.
No, he's not an idiot. I think he's doing it on purpose. I think he's like, you know what? I think I also heard that he was worried about sabotage, that these people were disgruntled, and if they were still at Twitter, that they would try to sabotage the site.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Right, and fuck it up while he's trying to like turn the ship around. Like he spent $44 billion. It's not going to go on.
Well, I think once he heard that there was employees that were taking that $15,000 for blue check marks and stuff,
right.
I'm sure he knew exactly what he had to do.
Yep. He's like, I think what it was, instead of like doing this whole investigation and trying to weed out the bad ones and trying to figure out what the fuck, he's like, look, let me just see if I can get them to leave on their own. Sends out that email, tells them it's going to be hardcore, blah, 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 blah. Does all this little meme stuff, and he does the stuff where people will tweet at him and then he'll immediately fire them and just create this environment where everybody just wants to fucking leave. But I guarantee you that the ones that end up staying, they're going to be the ones that reap the most benefit because I think they understand what's going on.
Good news is Jordan Peterson's back.
Yeah, and so he's actually reinstating people. Yeah,
I'm happy.
He's
about
back
that.
on there. The Babylon Bee is back on there.
He's back on.
He's got the poll out right
Jordan
now
Peterson.
of Trump being. He's like did a poll. I think it was today. Was should I let Trump back on Twitter? And right now,
So far, Trump's winning.
Trump's winning by like 50-something%. Let me check it right now. Let's see.
Hey, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't really particularly care some of his tweets. I think a lot of times he should keep his mouth shut. But I think he has his right to be on there. If you don't like it, don't read it.
Well, it's funny because, in my opinion, everyone keeps saying that it's free speech, but this is a company.
Yeah.
You can't say whatever you want.
That's true.
With companies.
So this is the latest. Actually, 36 minutes ago, the people have spoken. Trump will be reinstated.
That is awesome.
Pow.
I like it, man.
Yeah, dude, it's happening. So by the time everybody listens to this episode, Trump will be back on Twitter, man.
The left is pissed.
Oh yeah, dude.
The left is furious about that.
Have you seen what AOC said about it?
Oh yeah, she was talking about like the insurrection and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's like,
Right.
you're going to let this guy on who sparked an
Yeah,
insurrection.
because he used Twitter for that.
yeah.
How long are we going? How long is that going to be called an insurrection? That drives
Actually,
me banana sandwich.
The FBI, when they looked into like the January 6th thing or whatever, actually any of the like Proud Boys, and I think there was another group called Oath Keepers and like
your
some
far
Patriot,
right
whatever, those alt-right dudes, they actually use Facebook.
That's funny.
They use Facebook to coordinate all that.
Why wouldn't they? It'd be easy
Coordinate
to
their
do that on
protests and everything.
Facebook.
Like, they don't use Twitter. They use Facebook for that.
Yeah.
Which is because Facebook actually has like the
Instant
calendar
messaging
events.
and all kinds of stuff.
Has the calendar events. Twitter doesn't have calendar events.
Well, you can also group message like that. I mean, duh.
Right. It's so
They're
stupid.
crazy. They're not dumb.
Right. But here's the thing, though, is old Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, who owns Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
Zuckerberg plays the game, right? Musk don't play the game.
Nope.
Right? He don't play that game. So Zuckerberg is a fellow traveler of the liberal cause, the lefty cause, but he is a free speech. I wouldn't say absolutist, but he errs on the side of free speech. But he's also running this multi-billion-dollar company, and he knows that all his employees are mega woke, so he kind of has to play this game, and so he kind of slow walks everything, and kind of like, I'll give you a little bit of what you want, but so he's not gonna be the one to stand up like Elon Musk has for free speech.
No.
So it's just kind of funny to me that they're trying to like get Twitter banned or regulated or whatever the fuck. They're trying to sue Elon Musk because he's buying Twitter, and they get all in a tizzy about it.
Yeah, good
but
luck suing that.
They don't have any problem with Zuckerberg, and it's already been proven that they have sold people's user data to the NSA, right?
He's a crook.
And you're talking about can't have billionaires buying social media platforms and our means of communication, all this kind of stuff.
Why?
Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, and nobody fucking cared.
Who cares?
Right.
I didn't care if Elon Musk, even if I didn't like him, I don't care if he buys a company. I don't care. Buy it. It's your money. Buy it.
I do like the drama, though.
Oh,
the drama's
it's a
great.
blast. It's fun.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone made this.
He does like
observation.
smart dad jokes. It's the best.
Well, this is the reason why Twitter is actually, of all the social media platforms, the most important one. And I never thought about this before, but Facebook is like dying. It's dead. It's just people just kind of keep in touch, like from high school or whatever. It's not really. You got the Facebook Marketplace.
I keep up with
which is
birthdays
helpful.
with it.
Yep.
Keep up with birthdays.
My favorite thing.
Right. We've got groups that you can be a part of,
Marketplace.
and so that it's got its place, right? It's
Where I
almost
pick up chicks.
Nice. Yeah. Casual encounters.
on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a
go-
bargain.
But actually, they have a dating thing now.
No, I go to. I didn't. It's not really my idea. I saw this, but you go on where women are selling wedding dresses.
Look at the size they are.
You get the size they are, and also if they're selling the wedding dress, a lot of times they're not married anymore.
Ooh, so they're vulnerable.
Recently
Divorcees.
Yes.
Exactly.
I like where your head's at.
Exactly.
Wow, I sound like a creep right now.
Actually, you just sound a guy with a plan.
They're needing a shoulder to cry on. And funny thing about my shoulder,
Just look at it. I'm like,
Right. So it's a win-win.
sorry, Dad, it's too vulgar for you. So my dad listens to this podcast now. He gave us 2 critiques.
My dad gave us some. You go first. My dad gave me critiques yesterday.
They were specifically for me, and so
this was our show in general for both of us.
well, and I do have a positive thing that he gave about the show. But
I do as well.
His
You go first.
His 2 critiques was that I say the F word too much. I was like, "Fuck, Dad," and then the other thing was it gets a little vulgar sometimes.
Yeah, I can't stop that.
I was like, yeah, it's just I did tell him, I was like, well, you're not really our target demographic. Is all I'm saying.
like, Dad, these are sentence enhancers. I can't help it.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm sorry, but fuck is just part of our vocabulary. It just is.
I'm bringing the story alive.
Right.
It's like if I use a comma. Fuck.
Right. Exactly. the Oxford fuck.
I like it.
But the positive thing he said is he was like sometimes I can't follow what he's like. I think he said sometimes I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like sometimes we talk about nerdy stuff, whatever.
Right.
But he's like, but I just love hearing you guys having an absolute blast doing it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
My dad's critique, because he actually listened to our latest one when he was driving to St. Louis.
yeah,
He said obviously the positive was the same thing your dad said. It's just fun because you guys are having a good time doing it.
right.
But he said the critique was the cussing thing he didn't really mention because we all do it. But he said our show in general would probably needs a theme, an overall theme.
A theme.
Because I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, the ones he listens to are like Peter Attil, like the doctor.
Yeah.
His is longevity. His show centers around nutrition, things to extend life, for all those things like that. And then like Ben Shapiro, for example, it's all political. Like each episode, that's the general theme.
Yeah, I got
So
you.
I was like, well, ours is just kind of random. He said, yeah. He said, but if you would try to narrow it down to like maybe yours would be being in your 30s. Like ours centers around mid 30s, like things at all focal around that particular point.
Welcome to 30s talk.
I was like, well, I mean, there's room for it to grow. I mean, we're still getting in this. So, but other than that, he said, he's listened to a bunch of them.
That's a good idea. Maybe like a millennial mindset.
Well, that's what he said because he was like, what about
Fuck, I'm saving that millennial mindset. That might be a good podcast.
Well, because he said I think that
stole
might
it.
be. He said once you figure that out, he said you may actually like from there. He said you just come up, and then he said, well, y'all's age group. He said, what's that Gen Z? I said, we are not Gen Z. Don't you dare say that.
Yeah, you
I
bastard.
said, we make fun of Gen Z.
Yeah.
I said, but we're millennials. So maybe that's actually a good point. I mean, maybe.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, contributed.
Yeah, you're not like shit talking the show, but it's just, I need, outside opinion on the show.
Some focus. So
Yeah,
that
that's what it means.
You're like, so that we can place ourselves in a genre.
Yeah, because our topics aren't bad.
We're not in a
we
genre.
don't have bad
Except
topics.
comedy, maybe.
Yeah, and improv.
Comedy, improv.
That's what we go into.
Slapstick.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you can actually, and like, as far as ideas with that kind of stuff, just have people on that maybe have, like, I'm an X-ray tech technically, so come on and you talk about medical stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've thought about, because our other guest, my buddy Gage, is coming on. He makes custom hats in Nashville.
Ooh, that's cool.
It is really dope. So we'll have him on, and we'll mention that too, and then we'll just riff-raff back and forth about whatever rant. But I like the idea of most of our stuff we talk about is being in your 30s, like
a lot of times.
being guys, and then that whole ecosystem around that too, and this middle age stuff, and then you get the married perspective on my side, and then bachelor, and we get the whole thing. So
Cat dad.
yeah, cat dad, yeah, yeah. So
I'm not one of those lame dads. I'm a cool dad.
yeah, cool dad, yeah,
Yeah.
girl dad, I'm right there with you.
This show's still so young. I think you guys are just finding out exactly.
Oh
what you
yeah, I told him, I said, can't believe this is episode 28. It's 28 weeks. We've only taken 2 weeks off.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds really, really good, and it's a really good show, and everyone seems to like it. But honestly, we put very little effort into this.
I can tell.
Hey, our one video with I like that. Our one video with 2,400 views on that one video. I was really excited. The one that I made of you doing your Dirty Dancing intro.
Yeah, or as Patrick.
Hey, I am proud about your new soundboard.
Yeah, I'm digging this.
Hey man, we're moving up.
That's sexy.
I
We're moving up. It's
all-
colored.
It's digital.
Cool. Yeah,
Right.
it's got lights on
It's
it.
got buttons. It's got colors. I like colors.
It's
And all the buttons work.
Yeah,
and they all work.
right. Exactly. It doesn't have all these like technical terms on it. It's just like volume up, down.
It's funny you mentioned this as far as purchasing new stuff. I found out that seasonal depression around this time of year. We talk about that when
I
it gets
buy
cold
more
stuff,
shit.
I want to buy. Like
dude.
I just can't help it. I got like that today.
Oh yeah.
I just want to buy everything.
At work the other day. It was kind of like end of the day. It's a Friday. I didn't really have anything to do. I'm kind of bored, and so what do? I jumped on Amazon.
Oh,
Well-
definitely thought you were going a different direction on that one.
Oh, porno.
Yes.
Porn? Oh yeah, no,
I'm at work, man.
not this time.
You already.
Yeah. See, the problem is you look at that on Amazon. They don't sell motorcycles on Amazon. That's what I was looking at.
Hey, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yes, I was looking at this stuff, and I ended up just buying it and told you, like, hey, by the way, I bought that. Give me $200.
$200. All right, it's on its way.
Yeah. I was supposed to be here today, but
You got to upgrade, man. You got to get with the times. The other one was a little dated.
yeah, it was too complicated. And now we can do cool stuff. We can give them a little taste if we want to of the sound effect.
Yeah. Press a couple.
do.
Press a couple.
Yeah, press one. Hit
You
it.
could do some shit like this.
They heard that one. Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, welcome.
all right, we got some applause.
You can have a laugh track on there. So every time you say something dumb, you can still press the laugh
You
track.
still do it right.
Yeah.
Right. I have crickets.
That one landed just right.
Yep.
I like this one. I like this in the effect. We can make an echo.
Oh, yeah, that one's cool.
That's really cool. I kind of dig that one. But
Oh, well, thanks for that tour of those
yeah, there we
buttons. That
go.
was neat.
All right,
Press another one.
do another one.
What's the
press
orange
my
one?
buttons at?
What's the orange one?
The orange one. This one.
Yeah, what's that
This
one?
one might be loud. Oh,
Okay.
Jesus Christ!
That's a good one.
Don't press that one again. All right. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, put an X over that one.
Yeah,
That one's-
exactly. Right.
Just tape
That's
it.
a
Delete
no-go.
it. Right. Just rip it off. All right. Well, back to Twitter. I have been on it more. I'm enjoying it more. Well, I was going to say that was different about Twitter than all the other social media platforms. Was like Facebook's for like keeping track with like old friends and birthdays and setting up events and blah 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 blah.
What you had for breakfast?
Yeah, Instagram is the primary one that I think most people use.
Yep.
Right? Is because it the pictures, the memes, the videos.
I'm a massive
It's so much better.
Instagrammer.
Right.
It's less, I guess, political for me.
Yeah.
In Instagram, and I don't have to. I want to escape a lot of that stuff. And if I go on Twitter, literally every single person, whether it's athletes or whomever, they talk about politics all the time.
Yeah, and it's
And the only reason why I've been on Twitter more is because of this Elon stuff.
Right.
And literally, it's just funny watching people freak out about it.
And that's what it is. That's what Twitter provides that no other social media platform provides, is you can have blue checkmark people, like famous people, going at it.
which is great.
You don't see that anywhere else.
No, you really don't. Instagram, you get lucky every now and then, but it's
Like you'll have like a senator from Kentucky getting in a fight with LeBron James, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
but you have to stick around and see what happens.
Right? How is this happening? Right? And it's only on Twitter does that happen. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why it's the most important one, I think, is because you've got all these like supposedly rich, famous, powerful people are just kind of available to you to like tweet
call
at.
out or piss off. Yeah.
And then other rich, famous, powerful people can like tweet at them.
They do act like us.
And then they can get in these little battles, and you can kind of like watch the rich and powerful like go head to head, like celebrity deathmatch. It's kind of
I used to love that show.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That was a good one. It's it's funny you mentioned everything being so political on there, and everybody's an expert. Dad and I were talking today. I said, "Hey, did you see where we won the house back?" He was like, "Yeah, but it wasn't a humongous victory like they said it was going to be."
Yeah, was it the red tide or something?
Yeah, like
waves,
the whole thing. But I told, and Dad brought up a good point today. He was like, "I think people in general, left or right, are just tired of
Oh, absolutely.
all of it."
I think so.
That's why the voter turnout I don't think was as solid. People
Shit
are
used
just
to be boring.
people are just over it, man.
A lot of people are just like, I don't care about Democrat, Republican. I want to vote for whomever
Just
is.
fix what's going,
yeah.
fix what's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's people are want the politics to be boring again.
Yeah, everybody is such an expert on the thing, man. Like it's like the first thing that pops up everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And that's funny because that's why I did like Trump, is because he just said the most off the wall stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's crazy.
I know.
Love it.
But he ran it like a business.
He did.
He wasn't like a normal dude in a suit, so
Shake some shit
it was
up.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's partly to his detriment. He didn't understand some of the aspects of how to play the game, but then some of it doesn't need to be played. You know what I mean? So he's just like, why the fuck am I doing this? I'm just gonna do exactly how I want to do it.
it's actually what would be cool is like I didn't like Obama when he was in. He actually is kind of a charismatic guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like if you could
Obama's all personality.
if you could take that with someone with some great policies like a Trump, whatever, and put that into one, like my God, I mean,
that was the problem.
that'd be the best.
Obama's personality. People
great.
personally liked Obama.
He's
I mean,
great.
If I met Obama, I'd be like, this fucking cat.
Well, I saw him in an interview when he was not president anymore.
Right.
And it was the Jimmy Fallon show, another one too. And they were just like, how are things going? He was just like a normal dad. He was just like,
Smooth cat.
he was like just vacation and trying to keep up with these kids.
But
just a normal dude.
He was able to mask his actual like radicalism.
Yeah.
Like he was a pretty radical dude.
Yeah.
But he was just very charismatic. The problem with Trump is he's also charismatic, but he's abrasive.
It's kind of to the max.
It's the other end of the charismatic spectrum, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Like Obama was like smooth, and Trump was brash, but they're both charismatic. They both have some charisma. They got energy to them, or whatever. It's just I prefer
He's running. Did you
Trump's
see that?
policies over Obama's.
He announced he's running.
Oh yeah.
I really wish. It doesn't mean he's going to get the nominee.
What's your general take on that? I guess we can segue into that real quick. But what's your general take on that? I think it's a mistake for him to run.
I think it's a mistake, and just because he's running doesn't mean he's going to get it. He still has to be the Republican nominee, which
Still 2 years
But
away.
the problem is I think he's living too far in the past.
I
think we
so
need.
too,
I think we need to just let it go. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I want him to come in and fix things because I mean they're horrible. Let's be honest, they really are. I mean, with inflation stuff hasn't like hit home for me, but I mean prices are up on everything. It's noticeable and how horrible the COVID thing was handled. But if he ran and it was just him, like in DeSantis, if he got the nominee and DeSantis didn't, I mean, I would vote for Trump, obviously. But I think he needs to come out of the past if he's going to do it. He's going to have to.
Yeah.
Like the whole the voting was rigged. Okay, it may have been, but it's been a while now. Can we?
Right.
Let's move on from it and spearhead into fixing things.
And that he can't really do anything about it at this time, anyways.
Right,
It's
correct.
already-
It's over.
Yeah,
It's dead. You can't relitigate this.
It's done,
over.
man.
Like even if they came out and said, yeah, he was 100% cheated, it don't matter.
It doesn't
it's fucking
matter.
over.
Right,
What are they going to do?
We're all over it. It's
over
over. Even if with the time you were upset when it happened, now I'm like, okay, cool, let's move past it and let's fix things.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Put an asterisk next to Biden's name as president? Like,
Right.
They're gonna come in there and
I
kick
do
him out,
hope-
and it's not gonna happen.
I really hope that I wish DeSantis, when the time comes, I hope he decides to run. I do like him a lot. I think he would be great. He's younger. He's the new hotness right now.
Well, that's the other thing. That a good point about him being younger. It's like
I
we
want a
used to
younger.
Democrat, Republican. Why are we hiring 75 plus people?
Because in a normal
I mean?
job, you wouldn't hire someone that old typically.
Correct.
Especially the most stressful job in the world, right? You're not going to hire a 75, 80-year-old man to do it.
Right.
So why not someone DeSantis who's middle-aged? Probably, that's who would get mine. I hope how that would go. Yeah. But he needs to come out of the past for sure if Trump's going to even come close.
We'll see how it shakes out. I mean, Trump
I like him.
announcing this early.
I like the dude.
Maybe crowding everybody out. I don't know. He's trying to consolidate so nobody else is thinking about running. I think
It's really early.
Way early for him to announce. It's 2 years from now. It's a long time. It's
a long 2 years. Look how much shit went down the last 2 years.
Up. So I think everybody else is just kind of watching to see okay, how are people going to react to this? Are they going to like Trump? Are they going to, is he going to change any hearts and minds here? That's my biggest thing about Trump. The reason I don't think he should run is because when he ran in 2015, won 2016, he was the wild card. He was a mystery. No one exactly. He was a lifelong Democrat.
No one knew what to expect.
He invaded the Republican Party, crowded out all of the establishment guys, and won the nomination. And then he was going up against Hillary Clinton, probably the worst candidate ever. She sucks.
That was the first night we recorded our podcast ever.
Was it?
Yeah, we had little USB cheap mics.
Oh,
it was the
Awesome
election
Sauce?
night.
Yeah, that's right.
Election night was just Zach and I was our first time ever recording a podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, that's really funny. I'm glad you brought up the Trump thing. He's a lifelong Democrat, and so a lot of people in the Democratic Party, they don't. I guess they choose not to remember this,
Right.
or they don't want to remember it.
Yep.
But he's a lot of his friends are in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, he used to hang out with those parties and those New York parties.
Well, it's like I've heard before where the Democratic Party is not all evil. It's just that far left crazy liberalism that gets taken. Because even JFK was a Democrat, and he was actually not a bad dude from what I've read and looked into.
I don't think the Democrats are evil. Even the far left. They have evil views.
Sure.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I would say, but I think the main difference between the left and the right, the way I see it, is the right thinks the left is stupid. Mm-hmm. Right? They're just stupid. They're misguided. They're childish. They've got bad ideas. Right? That kind of thing. The left thinks the right is malicious and evil and malintentioned and everything like that. That's the major difference.
That makes sense.
We can't just disagree. I just think your ideas are stupid. They think that our intentions are bad.
All their ideas are stupid.
Right. I agree.
Every single one.
They really are.
Well, Trump was when I voted for him the first time, I was knowing that he was a lifelong Democrat, didn't really know what he was, about, but I was like, I know what Hillary's about. She sucks.
That's exactly what I thought.
Let's take a shot on this wild card. You know what I'm saying? Let's just try
something different.
Let's try it. Yeah, I like some of the stuff he was saying, right? He was kind of attacking the media, which was, I think, the biggest thing because everybody kind of was like, yeah, the media sucks. Hey, well, you getting another beer?
Give me, you want one?
Yeah, me too. I like having a third.
I thought we struck a nerve. He was like, yeah, I'm fucking out.
But, he, and then the thing is once he became president, it just was all chaos all the time. And a lot of it was the media's fault and just everyone's reaction to Trump. But he didn't help his case. He made it worse.
But they were all out to get him.
He instigated a lot of times because he's just a combative dude, right? So now at this point, after 4 years of his presidency, everyone who is a fan of Trump is now solidified as a fan of Trump. No one's changing their mind.
That's correct.
Everyone who is an enemy of Trump that hates Trump, they're not changing their mind. And there's no middle that's like, oh, I'm not really sure how I feel about Trump. No, everyone has already made up their mind about Trump.
It's still made up.
He's not changing any hearts and minds. Not really. You'll get a few here and there in the middle, and they do say the margins matter. But I just don't think that with his popularity when he left, that is what it's. He's not going to shoot back up into the 60s.
I think even if he ran,
it's just not going to happen.
I think he would get it, but it wouldn't be about as many as you think it would be.
Really? You think you get it?
I think he would.
The nomination, or are you talking
if
about
he does get the nomination and he ran again?
You think he'd win the presidency?
I think he would get it.
I think he would lose.
You think he would lose?
I think he would lose too.
Mm-hmm.
If he did win, it would be close.
I think.
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's going to be a tight race.
They're always going to be close.
Yeah.
I guarantee. I would be skeptical if we ever
So, I mean,
have
even when
another president that wins like 60% of the vote.
I mean, even when Hillary ran with Trump the first time, it was still close. I mean, it wasn't.
That's what I'm
a
saying.
Big landslide
Is-
victory.
Right. Is that pretty much the left and the right are not changing their minds, and the middle is vanishing. And everyone is now picking sides to where it is seriously a.
But even him losing, I couldn't imagine any normal person keeping things the way it is right now. That blows my mind.
If it were just him and I guess Biden, then he would win. I think by a landslide. I mean, no one's going to want.
If it was against Biden, I think that'd be hard.
I mean, Biden might not even know where he's at the whole time.
Because Biden may have
It's sad.
Biden may have the disadvantage the same way that Trump had the disadvantage in 2020. Is that Biden? Yeah, he was vice president, but he was in the second chair. He wasn't in the big boy chair.
His approval rating.
So people didn't really know. They were like they would have voted for a cheese sandwich just to get Trump out.
That's
the
true.
left would have.
That reminds me.
You know what I'm saying?
Remember the South Park episode?
Oh, it was a
Turd sandwich and giant douche.
giant douche. Yeah. They literally had a giant douche and a turd sandwich going head to head.
Because I remember whenever Trump ran that first time and a bunch of memes are going out, and I posted something like, "Who's voting for the turd sandwich? I got giant douche to win."
Yeah, right.
That's hilarious.
That was a good one.
I love South Park.
I know they're the only ones that are actually like staying strong with like pissing off everybody.
Well, yeah, they're equally aggressive towards every single person.
Yeah, they don't care. No one's safe.
100%.
No one's safe.
Yep. Like
My favorite one is whenever they, it's one of the first seasons, whenever they talked about the illegal aliens and they took our germs.
taking their germs. Actually, that was we started saying that on Rings of Power. There was a scene in Rings of Power where on that island where there was like a group of the locals was having like a rally or something like that, and they had that one guy up there and was talking about like it's like we got elves here and they're gonna start. It was basically like a thing.
I tried
they're
not
taking
to.
our germs, and I was like, while I was watching this episode, I was like, it's one fucking elf, and she washed up on shore. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that whole show
It
still
was a
pisses me
weird
off.
scene.
I hate
Man, I was so excited about that show too.
too.
I haven't watched it yet.
So I was excited at first.
Fucking awful.
And so he told me, he's like, look, man, and I love Lord of the Rings. It's one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite
best
trilogy.
trilogy of all time.
And he was like, I'm not excited. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, he said, I'm just not. I said, I think it's going to be bad.
I'm managing.
I was optimistic. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wait because visually it looks great. I don't know any of the cast. I was like, let's just wait and see.
It's Lord of the Rings. How can it be bad? You know.
Well, I would have thought, and then it just, oh my gosh.
Have you watched Game of Thrones, the new series?
Oh, I love it.
House of the
Love
Dragons.
House of
And
Dragons.
that's the beautiful part about
Great show.
both of those shows coming out at the same time was you can see side by side
So
what's good and what's not.
Quality and bullshit.
see, that's what, okay. So because House of Dragon, I immediately started watching that, but I was more excited about
I was too. Rings of Power.
Rings of Power.
I was too.
But I gravitated towards House of Dragon, and I was thoroughly impressed, and also creeped out about certain scenes. But I still haven't watched the Rings of Power yet.
You know, someone asked me if they should watch it, and I said, look, I'm going to go ahead and tell you it's bad. Like, it is. But I've had friends of mine that also we usually agree on a lot of things that liked it. But they went into it as knowing it's basically a reimagining, a spin-off series of Lord of the Rings. If you go into it that way, I could see how that might soften the blow. But even knowing that, it's bad casting. I think it's bad writing.
I would
it's just boring.
I would say it this way is for people that like Rings of Power is you run into this. There's there's different types of people that like different kinds of things. Some people they're like, oh, fantasy, elves, sword fights. Like they don't really. It's bad, but it's enjoyable to them. I don't want to say they're stupid, but they're not. They're not
easily impressed.
They're not easily impressed. They're not deep watchers of shows. No. They don't get invested like we do. You know
I overanalyze everything I watch.
They watch it. It's a spectacle, and then they're back onto their day.
Probably the same ones that like She-Hulk.
Probably the same ones that like
Exactly.
She-Hulk, right? And they're
point.
the ones that are spending reason why those Fast and Furious movies make millions of dollars, right?
Yeah, I like
those movies are not that deep. Right?
I like this.
Yeah. The last one was fucking ridiculous.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
They went into space.
Ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
It was like,
but
this is terrible.
But they're consistent.
Right.
And they still make a shit ton of money.
That's true. But you know what I'm saying? Like they don't. The people that like Rings of Power that really were into it and said, "Oh, it's a good show. I really like it." They just like the spectacle of the show.
Well, even that.
the writing is so bad. It's so bad, and that's the reason why.
Man, that's
Rings a reason House of the Dragon was is good. Reason why House of the Dragon was better show, even though you could say that it had like less action, was because the writing was so much better. They built tension and character development and story arc between characters, even though it had like 2 time jumps. It was just so much better. The Rings of Power was just the characters' dialogue was terrible. They said weird stuff.
Even the costume.
There was a crap ton of characters that had no point whatsoever to the plot. None. Zero. It was weird. Basically, anytime the Harfoots came on screen, I fast forwarded.
I did too. I skipped ahead.
Because it was surprising, Josh. You skipping forward?
Oh, there it is. At first, I was like, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
Every time I watch a movie and something important comes on, I'm like, Josh would skip this.
I don't skip everything. For some reason, like I don't know, like I started that this past year where I'm just like, this is not important to me.
I just like
Fast forward.
like the scene, the scene here, where you're just like, as soon as she pulls up, it's like,
Do a Stranger Things?
yeah, Stranger. She pulls up the letter and she's like, what was the dude's
Very
name?
emotional
Well, Billy,
scene.
dear Billy, pass.
Not for me.
Not for me. I'm out.
I didn't give a shit. I don't know, like, and I love that show. Like I've watched.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
That's what's crazy
special
about
features. I've watched behind the scenes. I've watched bloopers, everything,
But not that.
not that because I knew
this letter.
I knew what was going to happen. I'm like, can we please get over this? Like, I understand. You know, you're young. He died. He was an asshole.
I think it's the same. The
He
same.
treated you like shit every time he saw you.
I think it's the same trigger for you whenever someone starts crying.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Because I know you don't. When someone starts crying, it fires you up because you're like, you're not into it.
In real life, yeah.
In real life, you're not into
can't
it.
stand
When
crying.
people start crying, you're just like,
But like in a film or something, like, because I still have like easy cry triggers. Like I cried watching. I had a moment I was sick with the flu.
right.
I
But you're like when other people cry.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
You're
get
just a
wet.
bundle
Like,
of
'cause I know I'm
contradiction.
due.
I love
I know I'm due for one. Like I'm due for like a hard, like weep-a-thon. Like
Just
out in the
wait till you
street.
watch Black Panther. So I don't cry, like hardly ever. And I
You
shed
want
a
the
tear.
new one? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wakanda Forever. I shed a tear.
Oh, I'll shed tears. Like I shed a tear watching. It's always usually something. Stupid.
Handmaid's Tale got me multiple times.
Yeah, that one's pretty
fucked
rough.
up.
I forget what I was watching. It may have been the Santa Claus too, I think, or something. It was just little things.
You know that one. That one's the real tearjerker.
Yeah, something triggers. It's always something dumb. Well, I told you what was that when I mentioned
Feel good movies usually.
What was the movie that I was talking about where I saw a scene? Oh, it was Transformers, the battle scene. Remember, you were just like, "That really got you." I said, "Yeah, it just really got
which
me."
one?
Which one?
Yeah, that's the one where they were fighting Scorponok's out in the sand and like
On the first
C-130.
movie.
Oh, yeah, I
flies over.
remember
Yeah, and I
that.
told you were like you got upset. I was like, I don't know, it was like a thing of victory. I just got upset. This is the weirdest
When they were
shit.
the C-130s like bring the rain.
Bring the rain, and he's
was
like-
that the part?
He's
You just turned into a
like
puddle.
this. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, and he's it's that whole shot is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I was just like, I don't know. I was like, why am I getting so upset about this? Like, this is exciting. I don't know. It was weird. I'm a freak, dude.
That first one, that car scene with the Mustang, the cop car,
Barricade.
and Bumblebee at the very beginning was one of my like top favorite car scenes.
Yeah, Michael Bay knows how to make some cool shit.
Yeah.
He really does. I mean, the stories got weirder as those movies went on, but they
the
were
plot-
still action packed.
The plot
all
got
the way
crazy.
through.
Whenever you had like the whole knights and you had the weird other like god chick thing or whatever that she made them, that got weird.
But she was working for that was the Quinta,
Quintessa.
and then Unicron was the other one, but you just saw pieces of him. You
Yeah,
didn't
it got weird.
It got out there.
Weird.
Yeah,
And then they had the prequel Bumblebee, which was okay.
which actually was not bad.
I like
It was
that
okay.
one.
I
enjoyed it.
Had John Cena. If it's got John Cena, I'm going to watch it because I'm just fascinated by
I do
that
like
dude.
John Cena.
I
He's
mean,
such a humble guy.
He's kind of a
Oh, wait, I didn't see him in that movie. I don't know if that's the right movie.
but
he's in it.
Bumblebee. He was like
he works for like Sector 7, doesn't he?
yeah, I
He's
think he
kind
was
of
like early Sector 7.
kind of a bad guy.
Oh, did that joke go over y'all's head?
Oh, you can't see me. Yeah,
Wow, that did. There it went.
yeah. We didn't see the joke. The John Cena joke. Of course, we weren't going to see it.
Like that one.
Yeah, but anything he's in, he plays such weird characters. He's just a weird dude.
Well, the Fast and Furious movie, that's another one that I didn't get. He's
Jacob. Isn't he?
Vin Diesel's brother?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
That
How?
came out of nowhere.
So I think what happens, I didn't know this until recently, but I guess Vin Diesel will actually ask viewers who they want to be the next villain or next
a poll?
actor in it. Yeah, like he really does.
Twitter poll.
That's how he got The Rock. He asked people who they wanted in it. And they kind of had a falling out because Vin Diesel
they
got all
hate each
weird. Yeah, he got really weird.
Him and
about it.
Tyrese. got into it too. Rock, Tyrese, and Vin Diesel all hate each other apparently.
So then he brings John Cena, which was kind of weird. So now I'm like, okay, well, who's?
Well, they could have had a different, not his brother.
Yeah, the whole
like
thing was really weird.
Me and Zach being brothers. Like we are not.
Actually, that'd be more believable.
We're just butt buddies. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
But if you do get back to Rings of Power, if you like Lord of the Rings, check it out just so you can talk shit about it with us.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna watch it. Same thing with like Yellowstone and stuff. I just haven't had a chance to watch some of that stuff.
Yellowstone was great, except what was the last season was 4 before the new one.
I'm on
season 4 was not good. Season 4 was terrible.
Season 4 was good up until
it got weird.
It got weird with the whole reservation wolf thing. That whole thing was
the protester chick. He was banging the protester chick, and that whole scene. Like I didn't care. Like why do we care about this?
Like filler.
It was weird. And then talking about like you finally watch it, even though it's bad. I finally finished She-Hulk, and it was just as bad
I'm not.
as everybody
I
said.
stopped at
I
episode
finally watched it.
I watched episode 1. I turned it off. I'm not watching it.
The last episode it just kind of like it had this like crazy fourth wall break.
It's a bad show.
And then it just kind of like ended.
The only reason why I did watch it is kind of keep up with what the MC's
and that's what I'll probably end up having to do just to keep up with.
They will they tie in everything.
Yeah, they do.
Just hate
So-
the character.
Yeah, it was so silly. I feel like I should like a 12-year-old girl should watch it, and it's I guess
Daredevil's
they're not
cool.
Yeah, they're not keeping up. Well, I'm excited about Daredevil because apparently they're going to come out and with the show's going to be TVMA.
Yeah,
So it'll be
everybody's back. They're bringing everybody
good.
back.
Bring back
John
the Marvel
Bernthal
we
is going to be
want.
Punisher. Everybody's back. The
need to-
same chick did Elektra. Everybody.
MCU needs to grow up with their fans. I mean, a lot of these people they started watching it at a younger age, and that's why Winter Soldier is one of the most successful ones. The rating wise, anyway.
One of my favorites.
Yes, absolutely. It was a little bit more serious for people. Endgame for me was a lot better than Thor Ragnarok. Now, I laughed at Thor Ragnarok.
Agreed.
It's a little more lighthearted, but if I want, like you probably said it best. I want, like, as I'm growing with them from Iron Man 1 up, like we want.
Yep.
I want in-game level. I want that
the-
dark, and that's the Marvel I miss.
Right, and the interesting you talking about the growing up part. I think that's key because this is what how long has it been? Like when was Iron Man?
Let me look. I'll look it up.
Was it
It's like
2008?
10
Please
years.
talk
right?
amongst yourselves.
I think it was 10. It was a 10-year arc. I think right. So a lot of people that watched it back then are 10 years older. And
2008.
right. Are
I was right.
are 10 years older, and so like you said, it needs to kind of like grow up with the audience that started at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. Now you can bring in new fans, or you can have little spin-off stuff, or
Well,
whatever.
lighthearted ones
Some lighthearted,
are fun.
whatever.
They're just,
But it's still at some point it does need to grow up, and you don't need to regress. And I think She-Hulk is a regression. Thor: Love and Thunder is a regression.
absolutely.
I'm not really. I haven't seen Wakanda Forever, but I just don't. How was that? Was that hardcore, or was it kind of
Yeah, I didn't see
lighthearted?
it.
I mean, I don't.
You did.
Didn't
So I
seem
want to
lighthearted.
say, rest in peace, Chadwick. But they did harp on that the entire time. It was like a 3-hour tribute to Chadwick, in which, I'm sad that he did leave this world, but at the same time, it's an MCU movie.
You gotta move on. It's in this universe.
move on a little
Well,
bit.
the goal is to entertain me.
Correct.
Like, I need to be entertained. That's what these movies are for. That's why I'm paying to go see them.
There's 4 specific parts, and in every single one of those 4 parts that are super emotional had to do with Chadwick, and it had something. I enjoyed it. I thought the first one was a lot better, but this one it was super emotional. So if you did watch it, I think you would cry.
And Wakanda was on the low end for me in the first place.
I didn't really
So
care
that
for the
one's-
first movie.
The first one wasn't
I just,
even that great to me.
It wasn't a very good origin film for
I
me.
mean, he didn't really do a lot, if that makes sense. In the first one, it's just me. I mean,
just-
he had like
I agree.
he had two fights on a waterfall when he wasn't Black Panther, and then he had one real fight. We had one fight in the street where he was Black Panther in the streets of like Singapore or wherever the fuck that was, and it was short, very quick. And then he had the major fight at the end, and
horrible
there's-
CGI
and
one.
it was terrible. So
He's only shined for me in the other
Civil
Marvel
War.
movies.
In Civil War, he was awesome.
That's when he really shined. He was amazing. He was kind of a mystery. His suit looked great. The CG was a lot more crisp.
He was
the
awesome.
running scene in the tunnels with all three of them.
Yes,
When
that was
chasing the
great.
cars.
That's still. I just YouTube that scene sometimes, and I'm like, this is badass.
That was the coolest thing.
Infinity War, he was pretty cool too.
He was good in Infinity
he looked
War.
good in there too.
His standalone was not that great, and so if you're saying that like it's the first one was better than this one, then that
have
kind of gives
really
me a gauge
low,
of what it's like.
yeah.
But talking about like them growing up, that was always a critique of the Sony Marvel Spider-Man movies, Tom Holland movies, was that they're all lighthearted, and at some point they were like, when is this? You know, he's got to hit a point where he's going to grow up. In this last movie, you can see it. It's
He
like,
dealt with
okay,
real
consequences here.
Like that spot,
Talking about May dying,
home.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes. And so it was like, okay, this is serious stakes now, and he's now it's not where it's like, oh, you get in some shenanigans and you had some hardship and you got to fight the bad guy and then you come out on top. Like someone died because of his actions, like that's and someone close to him, and he caused all this chaos. Like those are some real. And then at the end, he has to make a hard choice. It's not
He made a sacrifice.
It's not kid shit anymore. He has to make a real sacrifice. That now they're growing up Spider-Man. So it seems that Sony working with Marvel understands how that character needs to work, but they're not doing that with the MCU overall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're getting goofy. Like, and I like Taika Waititi, but he's fucked up Thor for me.
Well, if you go back
think
and
he's good, in my opinion.
if you go back and look at the Thor, the first movie, which the first one he was kind of a odd character because he was Nordic and his verbiage was weird and all this. And then, you know, he got just better and better and better. He was in game. He was amazing.
That was top notch for me as far as Thor goes.
He was the best. I don't think Endgame. I think he was the best in Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
Because that whole,
yeah.
the beginning to end of that, because the beginning of it was right after the end of Ragnarok. So Ragnarok was lighthearted or whatever.
It's short hair.
Right, yeah, short hair. The end of Ragnarok led to the destruction of Asgard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, of course, terrible. And then if you think about it, right after that, if you treat it as like one story arc,
Sure.
as soon as that happens, not too long later, Thanos shows up, kills Loki
In front of him.
kills Heimdall, kills everybody, blows up the ship, and he's literally like the only one left. Only a few people got out. It was the rest of the Asgardians that made it back to Earth.
See, that's what I had.
And then he goes through the whole thing, and then he finally gets redemption at the end whenever he shows up in Wakanda, finally, with Stormbreaker, and that's where he says,
Yep.
bring me, you could feel it.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what
I mean,
I'm
it was
saying?
Thor. It was the Thor we want.
Exactly.
I
And
was
he-
rock hard when he said that.
Oh yeah, dude. I
full mask.
I blew
He's
all
one of the
my
best.
pants.
He's one of the best characters.
100%.
But then you see him in Love and Thunder. I'm like, I don't like you anymore.
yeah. And
I
then
just
kinda ruined
don't.
it.
Well, like what you're talking about, whenever you have Thor Ragnarok, so at the end, whenever his planet is destroyed and all of his people are in one ship, and you know everything's in his life is to shit.
All went to shit.
And
Mother died.
Korg is
Sis-
making jokes, and everyone's laughing at the end of it. So I was like, okay, well, that's weird. But then in Infinity War, immediately when it starts, that's when you start seeing like, oh, he's upset. You know, everyone's dying. So that's when you, in my opinion, that's why Waititi, I don't think he's a good director for the MCU because he's, you know, any type of emotional thing, he's gonna make a joke about it.
Yeah, he can't do the hard emotion stuff, the serious stuff. I agree.
Yeah, in Love and Thunder, we saw that in theaters, and
he can do lighthearted comedy, but
Christian Bale was cool. It was neat seeing that him play that character, but it's a very forgettable movie for me. It's just a.
I wish he
filler.
was a little bit more comic accurate. I do think he was a great actor, and he stood out to me.
You want him to look more alien-like, like he does in the comics. That was the big critique.
Maybe
Just a little bit. I mean,
if you
he
could do
doesn't
it
have
like
to-
He really didn't have any prosthetics on. Really, you could have added something to it and still keep the
they
same
did
effect.
with Ralph Fiennes in Voldemort. They removed his nose entirely.
Well, and they
so
just they just green pieced it in, and it still looked like real effects.
I think
I agree.
The movie, the plot, and the character of going with Gore the God Butcher and everything. I wish we would have seen more of him in action, killing other gods. But
Besides
Taika
the
Waititi
one.
was not the director for that story.
No,
straight up.
It needed to be
It
dark.
needed to be darker.
and rough.
what I wanted Ragnarok to be.
Yeah.
I mean, in the comics, it was one of the most bloody comics. It's something that, you know, he was dealing with a lot of things. And like I said, I enjoyed Ragnarok for what it was, but, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of bad things.
We want rated R Marvel.
They needed
Yeah,
something.
rated
really
R,
do. That's what we really do. We want something
They
gritty
needed to
and
do something to Thor because his first movie was an origin, and it was kind of when Chris Hemsworth came onto the scene. So it was
it was rough.
whatever it was.
It was a little rough.
It was the weaker of the origin movies, and then he had
Do you remember the main bad guy in that first one?
in the first one. It was the destroyer.
Yeah, just the big metal guy.
The bot. Yeah.
It was
It wasn't even really a character; it was a tool.
Yep.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm
and
saying?
really, it was kind of short-lived. It wasn't really.
really-
It didn't seem like a real threat to me.
It was Loki.
It wasn't.
Loki was really the antagonist, if you could say, kind of.
It was a soft intro.
He was the
It
antagonist.
was. I mean,
because
it's,
Loki was the antagonist. It's just the destroyer was the big bad that he had to fight. But still, at the very end, he broke the Bifrost and let Loki go into the abyss. So Loki was the big bad. But then you had him in.
Hawkeye was in that movie too. Did you see him?
Yep.
He was in the crane lift.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. If you look, whenever Thor shows up to the facility to get Mjolnir back, if you look up close, there's a lift, and he draws back with a bow. They don't show him, but that's Hawkeye's actually there that day.
Oh.
It's really
Well,
cool.
then and then he was in Avengers 1, right? And he was fine in that.
Yeah, you had the whole interaction with him and Hulk.
Right.
That whole thing was cool.
But then he had Dark World, and Dark World is where he took a step back, I think. And I think the mistake that people made is that he was very serious in that movie, right? His mom died, right? So it's a serious situation in that one. And Asgard got attacked, and it was very serious. But I think the weakness of that movie was not Thor and the direction they were taking Thor. It was the Dark Elves. That was a weak bad guy.
Oh, they were horrible.
Yep.
That's what it was.
Malachi was that his name?
Malachi.
Malakin.
Malekith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awful.
Was weak. That was the
Whole,
problem with
like,
that movie.
They
But-
burst that.
Yeah.
that
And so
whole
I
thing
think
was
that they
just-
were like, and they recognized, I think MCU, Kevin Feige and all those recognized that Dark World was weaker and was like, well, we need to revamp Thor here. And even after, because Ragnarok was after Ultron. And I liked Ultron.
I did too.
I really like Ultron. But I can see how people didn't like it as much as a weaker one, I guess, maybe because the plot doesn't make sense to people. Maybe, I don't know.
It felt like a real threat though.
Yeah,
like
I thought it was serious.
I thought it was cool.
I digged it. But Thor didn't really have any development there. Actually, the only development that he would have had, they cut. Did you ever see the deleted scenes from that?
You mean when he goes to the pool,
Yep.
he has a flash.
He
forward,
goes to the.
yeah.
He goes and talks to the. I think of the
he
Norns.
sees Heimdall, and then
Yep.
they talk about what's to come.
Yeah, I think they're called in North mythology. They're called the Norns, but they're the Fates, and that's where he went to that pool, and he was trying to find out what the hell is going on because there's a bigger game at play. He was trying to find out basically Thanos.
Well, then he found out he was the one that came back and named the stone what that was.
Yep, exactly.
So that was the first time we actually shined light on that whole mythos. So that was really the only part he really played. But yeah, that was a deleted scene, so you didn't
they
get to
deleted
really
some
see
stuff
it.
out of that, and that didn't really that fleshed him out more because that scene was a prophecy for Ragnarok, right? For the actual destruction of Asgard. And so I think the problem that they had with Thor is that they didn't like the direction he was going because he was the least fascinating character of the big three, and the movies weren't as successful, I guess, or critically received. And so we need to revamp him. And Ragnarok was a success. Taika Waititi did do it.
I enjoyed it.
But then he just went too far with Love and Thunder.
They gave him too much freedom.
They gave him too much.
Well, the
freedom.
Love
He
and
went
Thunder
too
to me
far.
dabbled too much in reality.
It was too much.
I don't like real
Yeah.
things in my.
That's-
I don't like things in my real
Yeah,
world.
I agree.
Sprinkled into my. That's the reason we watch movies, especially of movies of that genre, is to escape reality. That's why I go. That's why it entertains me. I don't want.
Movies need to reflect human themes, but not human events.
That's correct. I don't need
saying?
social things happening in my
We
movie.
need to relate to them, so it needs to be human themes that we all understand. Love, jealousy, hatred, and sex, sibling
whatever,
rivalry, all
Good
these
sandwiches,
things,
whatever.
right? Lust for power, all these things that are human themes, without having to inject current political environments or current events that's happening.
And all that does is make the characters more relatable for us.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I need that.
Right.
I mean, I'll turn off a movie if it has too much political stuff in it.
Right now, that's the problem you run into right now.
That's the reason I hated She-Hulk. She-Hulk was just rife with all that crap. Someone said it best is that She-Hulk was basically the writer's journal.
And you see that too in Rings of
Basically
Power.
the writer's diary.
Yeah, I think one of y'all's another episode y'all guys had, you had mentioned something about that.
It just has such a weird. Besides it being boring and bad writing, culturally a lot of it doesn't make any sense. Like they try to introduce, of course, like the dwarven wife is black, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But you try to set up these cultural plays. And one of our buddies told us that you didn't notice it, but when you watch the other Lord of the Rings, this massive world of Middle Earth has different areas of different people living. Well, all these people in this Rings of Power look the same everywhere. You couldn't tell culturally where people were from. So you kind of lose that whole thing. Like they get to the main human city, and it looks nothing like a seaport. It looks like a shopping mall. There's just no one looks a certain way for the city they live in,
Right.
or the area they live in. It just none of that was so muddled.
Well,
It was-
Tolkien
Excuse me.
wrote a fantasy world that reflected his culture, his ancient culture of England, and you did have. I'm sorry, but just the way humans have been in the past, there was no multicultural, multiracial societies way back when.
There just wasn't.
People did separate themselves off and tribal themselves off
Yes.
by race. It's just the way it was.
He's pre-War
If
One.
If you're, it's like if you were, I don't know. It's like if you were trying to show make a movie about ancient Rome and you had like all sorts of different kinds of cultures as Romans. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So yes, it's a fantasy world, but it's reflecting a similar culture in English history. Is what it's reflecting, right? It's just added in elves and dwarves.
Because they tried to play that. They tried to play the race card for the negativity around Rings of Power. But in the same breath, you've got House of Dragon with all sorts of cultural differences, and it works.
Well, they did great.
Perfect. Like, it worked. So you can't tell me that well, they're like, well, it's because you're racist. You don't like Rings of Power. I was like, no, that's not what it is. House of Dragon it had African American people with white dreads.
Right, but they were a specific race of people.
Yes, and it looked
that had their own culture and everything else, and they would kind of like mixed in or whatever, which is fine. But they didn't actually just take one of those Valyri and throw them into Westeros and say, "Yeah, this is just a Westerosi guy." No, clearly you have created this aesthetic to say that's a Valyrian, right? You didn't have. That's what the problem that Rings of Power had is you had the one elf that was black dude. He was literally the only one.
with the only weird haircut.
He had the crew cut. It's like he obviously sticks out. It doesn't make sense for him to be an elf. And if you wanted to explain why he looked different than everybody else, then explain it. They just never explained it.
It was weird. It was really off-putting, and he was a bad actor too. But I will say that if there's any shining light to
They
Rings
have
of
a quota to hit, so you have to.
Yeah, you got to get the quote. You got to get the woman of color, the guy of color.
I get it,
You gotta get
but I will say
woman.
the only part that I enjoyed of Rings of Power was the dwarfs. Even his wife, like that, their whole thing.
They were fine.
They were fine. They were actually quite pleasant. Their story made sense. Their costumes were similar to the original, and their demeanor, the way they act, it all actually worked for me. I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad.
I mean, the whole reason why you guys invited me on the show is because I'm Mexican. You gotta have that quota.
Yeah, exactly. We hit the quota. That's right. We are
Every once in a while
a
you gotta have that.
culturally diverse show.
You have one Asian and one Mexican.
Yeah, exactly.
Only with his glasses out. If he takes his contacts out and his eyes get lazy, then they become almonds. He becomes Asian.
Yeah, whenever I can't see.
That's what Kylie said when we made that video.
My name is Jacqueline.
She was like, he looks super Asian in that video. I was like, no, that's what we're going for.
Speaking of which, there was one of my friends. She told me this that there was this girl had come up to her that I had laid with in a biblical sense, and
You had sex with her.
yeah, I had sex with her.
I'm glad you explained
So
that
they-
because I was
right.
definitely struggling.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're on the same
you,
page.
Josh.
They were apparently, I think they were playing Never Have I Ever. Right, you know that game, right?
I've never played, but I know the
You
game.
know the game. Okay.
Yes, I'm.
Yeah, I know you know. The game.
He said, I played before I got here.
Right. We're playing right now. But she was playing with this girl who I had been with, and she said the thing that came up says, "Never have I ever been with an Asian man." Right, had sex with an Asian man.
Okay.
And the girl, she, how does it work? She never ever. So if you did, had
drink
you
if you've
her
done
So
it.
she drank, and
You put a finger
my
down.
friend was like, "Really? Who?" And she mentioned me.
Which is so
She
weird.
seriously was going on for however long as a notch in her belt that she had been with an Asian dude, and it was me.
That is
And
awesome.
what's weird, too, is like
I'm not
your
Asian.
bro doesn't
at
look
all.
Asian, and your parents don't look Asian
No.
at all.
It was just me.
Like, your parents are super Southern, and I'm like, for some reason, it cracks me up, and I'm like, why does Zach look so Asian? Like, I don't understand.
and I fucking love
It was the milkman Asian.
and I fucking love Asian food.
Oh, yeah. Who
doesn't? Come on,
doesn't like
I-
Asian food? I mean, that's,
I got tired of whenever I'd get Chinese takeout or something like that, and they deliver it, and they would forget to put chopsticks in there, so I bought my own chopsticks. So like I'm more.
did you get a discount?
More.
Did you get a discount because you're Asian? You went to the Asian
Right,
market?
exactly.
When you bought those, did you look at them like, I got to do this?
Did you bow
I did.
after you bought them? I've always wanted to bow at somebody.
You should.
I was
I'm
so
gonna
upset
start.
when the place where we used to work, they had the people from Kenwood the radio, like the actual radios that come from Japan, like the head of Kenwood Radios, apparently the big wig, he actually showed up. The older gentleman actually bowed at people, and I was like, "You got to fucking bow at somebody?" They're like, "Yeah, he came in like." I was like, "That would be amazing." Just to say you did that.
Well, can you imagine if someone walked up to you and did bow, and you'd be just standing there like, "Oh, am I supposed to do this right now?"
Yeah,
And,
but or you'd actually
You would instinctively.
or you'd
do it.
actually automatically know you'd go like this, or you'd go, and they'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
karate stance.
Yeah, just that was from Pacific Rim,
And then fight them.
and then fight them. Yeah, challenge them
Pacific
for their
Rim,
chopsticks.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite movies.
Same here. Let's do
first
this
one,
together. Terrible lines, but awesome action.
Awesome movie.
I don't think I've ever been so giddy in a IMAX movie when we saw that in Nashville.
Speaking of that, that's one of my. The second movie was so terrible, which brings me to my bugaboo about movies. And you already know this. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I can't fucking stand it whenever adults put children in charge of X thing, saving the
really
universe or
upset
whatever.
about this.
It makes no sense. So the reason why I'm not keen on Harry Potter. I'll just say that right now. I'm probably going to get a lot of people like, oh, what the fuck.
You're gonna catch it from me.
I think Harry Potter's mega overrated. I understand why it's a global phenomenon. I get it. But for me, if you watch it as movies, now it's a little bit different when they get older. But when they're as kids, I'm like,
it's not overrated.
let me just talk about the Pacific Rim 2, because this really highlights, I think it perfectly highlights it, is you have these multi-billion-dollar, mechs, right? These Jaegers.
These real ones.
Very expensive. You
put a lot of
put a
thought.
lot of effort into this, right? And the intent of them is to, save the Earth, stop the apocalypse from this alien invasion that comes through the sea. Whatever.
Sure.
Okay, that's what they're for. And you have to have pilots to pilot them. And the only people that you can fucking find are children.
Well, they're cadets because the main pilots were all
It
killed.
makes no sense, especially when the first movie had no kids in it. It was a ridiculous universe, but it treated itself seriously and put adults in charge. And then in the second movie, they probably to sell more toys or make it more kid friendly. I don't know. They put a bunch of teenagers in charge of controlling the Jaegers. Makes no sense for me. I hated it so much because of that. It makes no sense.
Well, at least it reflected in the film. 'Cause
Nobody
they all
would
got
do
their
that.
asses kicked.
What it sounds like is you just hate kids.
I hate children.
He does hate kids. I mean, he really does.
And teachers.
This has a kid in it. Fuck that movie.
Well, he says Harry Potter's overrated, which I don't think it's overrated.
It is.
I don't think it is. I love Harry Potter. I have a Harry Potter tattoo. I love Harry Potter.
What's your take, Brandon?
I love Harry Potter.
Fuck.
And it's not so much the character Harry Potter. It's that whole mythos, the whole world. Like the first movie is still my absolute favorite. To this
I
day.
like the universe.
It's like comfort food. I will put it on if I can't find anything else to watch.
Don't get me wrong. I like the universe.
The music,
Whenever you have
everything.
But when you have high stakes, we're talking about like world-ending stakes, that kind of thing. Having children being the primary force of stopping that, makes no sense.
But he wasn't a child when he stopped him.
Well, also,
That's the reason I said, as it got
okay.
later, it got better.
You're talking about you're talking about like Ender's Game.
But Ender's Game is another
I
example.
think it's a great example of a child.
Fucking stupid.
It's dumb.
Right.
well, he didn't want to be the savior, Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, but the adults were like making choices that put them in positions to be, the actors in the story. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
they're writing kids.
See, this is where
they're
this is where
kids'
him and I'm
books.
kind of like,
But here's the thing.
kinda, but no.
They're kids' books. They're children's books. She wrote children's
they're
books.
teenage-
It's from their point of view. So,
Sure.
in Harry Potter's point of view, maybe he did feel like he was being appointed, but what you're not seeing, in maybe like Dumbledore's point of view, is he's trying to protect.
He was
them.
actually dying midway too, so he couldn't do anything if he wanted to. He only had like a year left.
I get it. I mean, I see it from their point of view because it's children's books, and she wrote it for children's.
Now, Pacific Rim, I would have to agree with you.
Pacific-
I agree 100%.
Here,
Pacific Rim.
save the world.
Makes no
Harry
sense.
Potter, he's like, no, I don't want to do this, and you're like, well,
Right.
You kind of the circumstances are.
But I think that's the reason why that's the reason why I think I don't resonate to Harry Potter is because it is a focused around.
Have you seen all of them? Like sat and watched all of them?
Yeah.
I used
Okay.
to not
I
like.
haven't seen them, of course.
Oh, I know you have. I just didn't know if
I've seen
you.
them multiple times.
That's what I figured. I was just curious. Like,
Again, I don't hate them.
no, I know you don't.
My main beef with them, it's not ones that I get super invested in where I want to like find out more about the lore and mythology and everything behind it is because of that reason.
Yeah.
It's because it's kid focused, and I'm just sorry. It doesn't fit. When you're talking about like high stakes stuff, that's just not
Yeah, it's not your cup of tea.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I think you respect the game, just not that particular player in it. I get it.
Really, it's just you hate kids.
You hate kids. That's really what it boils down to.
Right. It's like
Super 8. We saw that in theaters. You like that movie, but it's not a.
it's okay.
Yeah,
Well, how do you like Stranger Things then?
It's Stranger Things is good,
he does like that.
but I mean
The parents don't know where these kids are.
here's-
90%.
But he says because 11 has powers, and
here's
nobody
the
else can
difference.
help.
Here's the difference is because 11 is that really is the reason.
I know. You told we
Because
talked about
11 is an exception to where that breaks that because she is literally the only one that has powers, including the adults. You know what I'm saying? So she's literally the only one that can take care of this problem because even the adult. But in Harry Potter, the adults also have powers. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why the Stranger Things makes sense, but at its kid focus or focused around 11 is because she's literally the only one that has powers.
So I hate to tell you this, but WB is looking at making more Harry Potter movies.
Oh, I know. Well, see, they made the
He's an adult now.
the whatchamacallit,
Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic
where to find
Beasts,
them.
right?
Yeah.
The
Which,
third
by
movie.
the way, did you see that last one?
The third movie was atrocious.
Yeah, they were meh.
It was terrible.
The third movie was atrocious. But when the first one came out,
It was good.
it started off good. I was like, okay,
are
I can
good.
see where this is going because it had like the Ministry of
You
Magic.
saw the American
You
side
saw
of
the
this
American
world.
side of it. You could see like the adults doing adult things. And it was very
It was 70 years before Harry Potter. So
right. But
there wasn't any.
But what I'm saying is like the story was focused around adults doing adult things. It wasn't like this kiddie shit. Honestly, it was more.
There wasn't.
It's still
It was
fantastical.
70 years before?
70 years.
It was still fantastical and all this kind of stuff, and it still had the Harry Potter stuff. The magic and everything was silly and whimsy and all that kind of crap. But when it come down to it, it was a battle of adults.
Yeah, because this is the time when Grindelwald was in power before. So that's also why Dumbledore was so involved, and we don't see him as involved because him and Voldemort and Grindelwald both were kind of cowardly. When they were at the head of their power, they were fine, but they used other people to do their bidding. And then they would show up, they would run away as soon as the going got tough.
Yeah, and that
Great boss does that.
Yeah,
right.
Like think
Well,
about
hire
that.
people
Think
smarter
about that
than
first movie, how dark it was. I mean, you had the one dude, Creed. Was his name Creed?
You talking about the boy?
Yeah, the
Yes.
kid, Ezra Miller's character.
That's correct.
Yeah, he
Credence.
Thank you. That's what it was. He it was a little bit more dark theme because he was getting like beat by that woman.
He's in an orphanage. Yeah.
Right, in the orphanage. Like that's some dark shit. You didn't see that really in Harry Potter. I mean, the best Harry Potter,
parents got
he lived
killed in
under
front of him.
he lived under the stairs or whatever, and they kind of like treated him like trash, but it was all goofy and jokey and all that kind of crap. This was serious. Like the dude was literally getting beat. You know what I'm saying? Like whipped. And then you had the villain was like someone who's like pro ethnic cleansing. You know what I mean? Like
He was like a Hitler.
Right. He's
I
like
was about to say
he was like
German.
Hitler,
Same as
Hitler,
Voldemort.
Harry
They
Potter.
all the same way.
Right?
Yeah.
So, right. And then and then you had adults fighting against that. Like it just resonate more with me. It makes more sense in this world. If you're going to create this universe, adults are going to be the driving force, not kids. Period. End of story. It's the way it is now. The way it is. You're talking about it needs to kind of reflect reality in some way. We don't let kids run the show now. You know?
Oh,
what I'm
no, we
saying?
don't.
Well, no, it's just a point of view.
It worked for the Power Rangers.
Yeah, Power
They were teenagers. Again, a little slightly different whenever
We don't know what grade they were
adult.
in. You don't know what grade they were in. They could have been freshmen.
They were 25 in reality.
In real life,
Yeah,
we don't
they
know
look
what
real.
grade
That's a
they
little
were in.
different. Power Rangers is a
Saying,
little different.
They could have been juniors. They could have been sophomores. You have no idea.
They were not freshmen.
You don't know that.
Real quick.
Adults always look older in the 90s.
Do you prefer the Green Ranger or White Ranger?
Green Ranger for me.
Ranger.
I have to say the White.
Only because of the Dragon Zord and the flute.
Yeah,
That's
that is really
That's
cool.
the only reason. Now, Zaba was dope because
Yeah.
I had that sword, and I like his costume is dope too. So
When they revealed the White Ranger, is probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, that was.
he was awesome.
They
in
built
the,
up to it like they were back there building and whatnot. He came down like Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
dude.
he was
That was
awesome.
crazy.
Well, that movie is still one of the best. The first
Oh
actual
yes,
motion picture.
Oh, my
which
God.
we
was one of the best.
saw Jason David Frank.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I remember the story.
We were in was it Louisville? We were in Louisville.
Yeah, it was
We
when
were in
y'all-
Louisville.
It was when you
We were in
first
Louisville.
went because I asked if y'all saw him by, and you said he was in the hotel.
Yep, he was in the hotel. We
Dressed like the
I think we
actual
were checking
Ranger.
out. He had come from a morning run in an all white tracksuit.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like his bandana was white.
He's covered
Yes.
in tattoos.
He was wearing a
Oh, yeah,
yes.
He's got a neck. He's super covered.
Yeah, dude.
'Cause I follow him on the gram.
He's a pretty nice
And,
guy.
Yeah, he's super nice. It's funny because whenever we went, one of our friends, like she's a super fan just like us, and if she would have saw Jason David Frank, then she would freak out. But she also kind of takes the lead for a bunch of us, and so she was up there checking us into the hotel. And when we saw Jason David Frank come in, we just sat there like
We were speechless.
kids, like I was like a 12-year-old kid again.
We all
like,
looked up to him.
It was like,
oh, and we just stared at him. We didn't even say hi. We just stared at him.
I remember in kindergarten, like
he wasn't.
watching Power
He
Rangers.
wasn't really that much taller than me, but I still like looked up to him.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember seeing him on screen, like he was the dude.
And so she came back from checking us in, and we looked at her. We said, "You will never believe who we just saw." And so we told her, and she was like, "Why would you not tell me this?" So
She would have talked to him.
Oh yeah, she's still mad at us to this day.
Yeah.
He told me he saw when he went. He told me he saw the guy from Sleepy Hollow when I was like balls deep in that show. He saw the
man.
guy, and I was like, "Why would you not stop and get an autograph from me?" But he was like, he just
Starstruck.
you just walk in a room, and he said they're just everywhere.
We saw
people.
Pete Davidson, and I
At
forget
the bar that night.
Yeah, we saw at that bar. We saw Pete Davidson.
I like that story.
Joel Kinnaman.
Was that the night whenever people kept trying to fight me?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, right. It was.
everybody wanna fight
That was a weird night.
I don't know. Like, look, for
Don't
instance,
come off aggressive. I'm not
no,
really sure.
So me and Zach go to the bathroom together a lot. And
Well,
so,
you always it's a battle buddy.
Like girls do.
Battle buddy.
and we were holding
making it a
hands,
guy thing, too.
going going to the restroom. And
He likes to sit when he pees, so I have to help him hover.
That's all right.
he holds me,
Hold his hand so your ass not to hit the seat.
not my hand.
No, I hold him.
Oh, okay, cool. Safety
So
first.
Yeah. No, we walk into the restroom, and there's this guy just standing there, I guess, waiting to use a urinal. And he looks at me. He goes, "You fight?" I look around. I said, "What?" He goes, "You fight?" I said, "If I have to, I guess. I don't know." He was like, "No, do you like professionally fight?"
Which kind of boosts your confidence. You're like, yeah, actually, I kind of do.
And I was like, "No." He goes, "No MMA or anything?" I was like, "No." And so that was weird in the restroom. And then that same night, one of our friend tried to fight me because he thought that I was trying to take a girl or something.
Yeah, I feel like you steal women a lot. It's like a going trend. Like,
I don't do it on purpose. My dazzling personality.
isn't it funny though how like
He
as
just
men,
has this aura about
isn't
it.
it funny how as men will take a compliment like, "Do you UFC fight?" You'll take that shit and run with it for weeks.
Oh, I think about it every day.
You'll literally walk in the mirror and be like, "Maybe I could be." Yeah, dude,
When I wake up in the morning and I brush my teeth, I'm like, I do fight.
I do fight.
Yeah, you just
Black and sugar bugs.
you put off this like aura that you're like ready to fight at any moment.
I had a lady ask me if I was SF one time at the gym, and I was so excited about it.
Yeah.
I came home and told my wife, I was like, "Just so you know, people think I kill people."
Exactly. I'm an operator.
Have you ever had someone ask if you're on steroids?
I have never been asked that.
So
I have had asked if my job came with a free gym membership. I was like, no, it's not.
I had someone ask if I was on steroids, and I was like, no, but I look like it.
Yeah, I would take that to your mother. You're like,
Honestly.
have you ever seen someone on steroids? Like, my calves would be bigger, bitch.
For me, yeah. Absolutely. So for me, it was 10 years ago when this happened, and I hold on to it like it's.
Oh yeah, we talked about that 2 episodes ago. Like, men need to be complimented more.
Oh, yeah. I'll hold
Even if
on
it's
to
from another dude, I will take it and run with it.
Yeah, dude. As soon as I get a compliment, I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I'm going to store that for 10 years later.
Damn right. Yep.
Especially old ladies for me. So
Oh, it's the best.
right now I work at a gym, and if someone comes in and they say, "You've been losing weight," or "Your stomach looks really flat," I'm like, "Thank you so much."
Oh, dude, yeah.
Like,
I don't
do I
care
take
how
her on a
old
date? Like, I don't know what to
You're
do.
like, what should I do now? Like, do you want my
Look at
number?
her, or
Yeah.
do I say she's losing weight? Or
They're always really honest.
Well, it's,
like they'll.
it's also a double-edged sword because you also really take to heart like negative comments too.
I do.
At least
And even when I say I'm not going to, like
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
like most people on the listening to the pod think you're egotistical.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. What's funny is he told me that I was like, that's cool. And like a day later, I was like, I don't think I am. I even asked my wife. I said, do I sound like that?
It ate you up.
No. And then I was like, all right, cool. And then like a couple days later, I told Zach, I said, I don't even fucking know her. She has never even met me. Like, I know I'm an asshole, which I am. As I get older, I just am. But
That reminds
yeah.
me of the Dane Cook stand up whenever he's
You're stupid like your father.
Stupid like your father. My father's a brilliant man. Sitting there eating
Just stewing in the basement. Yeah, dude.
They're mental ninjas.
It was so funny. Because then I would, like, you go back, I'm like listening to all 25. I'm like, I don't think I do.
Literally,
I need an example.
which episode did I?
Which
see?
episode did I do that?
when did you come to
Which
that
we do.
conclusion?
Which we do. Like a lot of times, we have like obviously just man opinion on a lot of stuff too. So I'm sure a lot of women are like, these guys are pieces of shit.
Josh, literally, my entire friend group used to hate me when they first met me.
Yeah.
Every single one of them have a story about how I was an asshole.
Used to be just Scott's douchey roommate.
For real.
cool, though.
And then, so actually, Scott, out of all people, vouched for me at the beginning. He was like, "No, he's a great dude. He's an asshole."
I like assholes.
And now my whole friend group is they have stories about how they used to hate me.
Pretty much.
It's pretty good.
This is great.
Yeah, they all think that he was a douche. Everybody thinks I was an Asian. So,
Well, that's what's funny is I was telling Kylie, I said, yeah, one of Zach's core friends is coming in. She said, you ever met him? I said, no. And I said, well, Zach isn't an asshole. I said, Zach's not going to hang out with he'll hang out with cool assholes, but he's not going to hang out with shitty people.
Yep.
no.
And of course, Kylie was like, yeah, I feel like he just wouldn't do that. He's not going to put up with that. I said, no, these are good people. We're not going to have some asshole on the show that nobody gets along with.
Come in.
Yeah. Take over.
Or something. This is my show now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no. I don't like those kind of people. I mean, when you get to your mid-30s, you start to
Well, that's why I have such a small group now.
right. You
I don't
carve off the ones that don't matter and they're not worth your time and they're not providing anything to your, well-being.
So I have a question. Do y'all have different friend groups that you don't like to intermingle?
I have. I mean, I have before. I mean, honestly, me and Josh, we've been friends for just as long as me and you have. But
2009.
y'all are now meeting for the first
2009 we met.
Now we touch tips.
Yeah.
All right. You know what I'm saying? So, and honestly, that's mostly just me because a lot of my friends don't live in the same town that I do, and so I've had to develop friendships where I live and where I work and stuff like that, like me and you.
Yeah, see, I've only been here. So
Right.
my other oldest friend, I've been friends with for 22 years. Well, I introduced him, Garrett, to Zach when Zach and I met.
Right.
So then he pulled into our circle. So I had both them. So that way we could all intermingle together and everybody gets along great.
Exactly.
The reason why I ask is that I have
Excuse me.
2 or 3 friend groups, and sometimes they're like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna hang out with some of my guy buddies, whatever." And like, "Well, I want to come along. Can we? What are y'all about to do?" I'm like, "Well, my friend groups don't intermingle." So each one of my friend groups serves a different purpose.
Okay.
So I have a friend group that likes to party a lot, and whenever I'm ready to party, then I hang out with them.
Okay.
But if I hang out with the core 4, we might go to bed at 8:30 at night. So it's not something that we go party. But if I want to have fun with old guys, then I hang out with them. So my friend groups, I don't like them to intermingle at all.
That makes sense. I mean,
I've had separate like that before, but I think they've all mingled now.
I have work people or people I interact with and see, but I don't hang out with, and I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Outside of those environments, not that they're bad people. It's just not my cup of tea. But I really primarily just hang out with, usually just Zach, and then I have my other friends too. But I don't have separate friend groups I actually spend time with. Usually, I try to pull them all into one group.
I've had the Clarksville friend group, and then you and George,
Yeah,
probably would be part of that. And then Garrett and your brother and whatnot, everybody here, and that maybe we can start to add Crunk in that too. But because we've hung out with him.
Oh yeah,
you've hung out with him.
Yeah.
Work, shooting and stuff like that. But and then Hendersonville group, and then don't really see him as much, but out in Seattle, old frat group.
Yeah,
High school frat group, but they all kind of have all mingled at some point. Now,
well, the group that I had
before they used to be completely separate.
my college buddies and even guys I went to high school because I've only been here, so everybody, but a lot of them some people just get odd.
Yeah.
And just
Oh yeah,
we've talked about before where they kind of get in their own bubble. They become all in parents where they kind of lose sight of who they are. They're just they don't look the same or act the same as 5 years ago when you knew them. I feel like I don't act any different just because I'm married and have a daughter now. I'm still just me.
Still
a lot of them sometimes
still like to do the same thing.
I like to do the same stuff. I'm still my own person, but a lot of them sometimes just get so consumed by it, which is great. It's not a bad thing, but it kind of leaves a bad taste for me. I'm I really just don't want to mingle with y'all anymore.
Well, it's
I wish all the best for you, but I'm not going to spend time with.
That you run into the people that you have a conversation with them. Literally, the only thing they can talk about is their kids or kid-related things,
or their job,
or their job, or
that stuff is really annoying. I have a kid and I have a career. Now, am I going to talk about that the entire time? No. Let's just shoot the shit and talk about anything other than that.
Right.
Yeah, because it's when we go to you go to a work thing, they're like, oh, what do you do for? It's always that's why sometimes I'll avoid people in the grocery store because I haven't seen in a while. I know what they're going to say. How's work? I don't want to talk about work, dude.
Yep.
I'm off. Like, how's your kid? That's fine. Like, small talk. How's your family? Everybody's good. Nobody's died. Like, everything's great. And then like, hey, what are you doing for fun now? Like, you got any hobbies? Like, I'd rather talk about that 100%.
I legit think that's like that's people's default because if they can't think of something like interesting to ask you, then they just default to, hey, you still at what such and such?
And I get it because if you haven't seen somebody in a long time,
Mark did that to me at the gym,
or you just don't really give a shit about them. So I really don't care what's going on in your life. Sorry, like I just don't.
Or it's a very generic, like, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's going.
Or I'll just do the, hey man, just as you pass.
That's the ones I like now.
That's the best.
Yep. Yeah, there's some people from high school that I run into at the store every once in a while, and we're at this point before when we run into each other, we do the little quick catch up thing. Yeah. Now it's just like, what's up?
I did that to a guy last night. No, great guy. He's actually awesome. It was I saw him at a restaurant in passing. It's a quick bro hug. How you doing, man? Good to see you. And that's it. And I left.
Oh man, I wish I could do that. I feel like every single time I see someone that I haven't seen in a while, they have to come up to me. Hey, how's it going? How's your job? How's the kid? It's always the same answer.
Yeah,
I hate that.
But I don't want everybody to be an asshole either. They're just like, hey, I don't want it to be like that. I'm not saying that because the world would not work like that. Like I just don't want that either. But
hey, Josh, I give you permission. If you see me in public, just hey, flick me off.
I also hate when I run into someone I haven't seen in like really for like 10 years or whatever, and they, hey, how you going? Married, kids, whatever. I'm like, no, I'm literally the same person that you knew 10 years ago. I'm in the same situation.
I started a podcast,
and then you get pissed. And you go like this. You just leave.
I've only changed jobs once. Get the fuck away from me.
Like my dick's still huge. I'm leaving. You storm out crying.
Pretty much, exactly. Where's Brandon? I need his shoulder.
He's stealing my girlfriend.
What do you want, Zach? I'm talking to your girl.
It's actually kind of like a running joke. He's stolen multiple women from me.
That's hilarious.
Actually, I don't know if that's true. It's
a joke about it.
It's a joke. We joke about it now.
We where was it? New Orleans. No, Key West.
Yeah.
I have this bad habit of falling in love with strippers.
Yeah.
So whenever we were down in Key West, we were there for a bachelor party, and they actually lost me in Key West because I was at a strip club, and Scott was.
Was this the good one that you told me about?
Was it the one that was all tatted up? If it's the one I'm thinking,
I don't know.
Okay.
It was all a blur.
Okay, yeah,
so
that's true.
She was beautiful.
She was beautiful. I don't know. She could have been a guy for all I know. So she kept giving me free dances, and so I just wouldn't pay for them. So I was like, "Cool, this is legit."
Hell yeah!
And
that shit.
The drunker and drunker I got, it's kind of like, man, she's into you. She's into you.
She give me free dances. Of
There's
course.
the instigator.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He just wanted. And so I'm over there, and she takes off my hat and starts wearing it while she's giving me a dance, and I'm like, I love you.
We're actually now engaged. Thank
It's
you.
like new kink unlocked.
Oh, I found out a thing that when women wear my hat,
100 experience points on the bottom.
Exactly. We're from 6 to midnight.
I'm writing this down.
I'm into this now.
And I guess they switched bars, and I think they told me they were leaving, and.
You're like, I can't. My wife works here now.
Yes. We probably told you like we're leaving in 5 minutes, but then she like floats over there and be like, "Hey, you want a free dance?"
I was like, yes, absolutely.
What
So
it was.
whenever they left, I'm getting a dance, and I go to leave, and my phone is dead. I could not find them anywhere. So they end up going back to the hotel, and I've never called a taxi before in my life. And I actually had to wave down a taxi and be like, can you take me back to my hotel? Where are you staying at? I don't know.
With her. She's just getting off.
She vanished. I don't know what happened to her. She probably found
Did you get your hat back?
Yes, yeah, I got my hat back.
Just had to start making money.
She had to start making money, right.
That's really funny.
Because I didn't have anything to give her. I was like, this is all I got.
I got this hat. It's a barter system. We'll twerk for a hat. You should have went with us in Vegas.
That place was nuts.
Oh, I'll go with you guys to Vegas.
Key West was hella.
I need to hang out with the Cord. Next time the Cord, the Hendersonville go, I'm going.
Oh, yeah,
I need to meet everybody.
Because we get on these crazy shenanigans. Like there was one time in New Orleans, we were going to go into a strip club. And we're always up in a strip club. But
I've heard that before, too.
Yeah.
Doo-Doo wasn't wearing – he was wearing a cutoff shirt with no sleeves. And funny story is that we tried to go into one of the strip clubs, and they wouldn't let him in because he wasn't wearing sleeves.
Right.
Had a dress code.
Kind of frowned upon.
He looked over there and he goes, "Those strippers better be wearing fucking sleeves." I lost it. I was laughing so hard. But we're always getting crazy shenanigans. Like,
I've heard probably 80% of them. Anytime you'll get back, I'll be like, I know you got some stories. Let me hear it.
you're about the one where he was shitting himself for about 24 hours straight.
When is he not?
Which trip?
Yeah, which trip?
Dude, when we were in Vegas, it was like a mile.
Oh, you're talking about the
6 shits per
my
mile.
first Memphis trip. That was the first time I went
yes.
to.
I like it when he slapped that girl's ass. That was one.
That
of my
one,
favorites.
I literally stood up. I was like, "Oh my god, we're gonna get kicked out!" And he's just over there, just having a good time.
Yeah, so the
That
backstory,
is
that was
one of my
New
favorites.
Orleans. I guess we could get into some stripper club stories. Was New Orleans? I think it was the first time I've ever been to NOLA, and we went down to, I don't know, the French Quarter or whatever the fuck that place is called,
Yeah.
and immediately had like two. What they call
Hand
grenades?
grenades.
Hand
Yeah,
grenades.
so we started the day off with hand grenades. We were
It
like,
was like 10 in the morning.
and we go down and we had one. We were like, well, that wasn't that strong. We'll have another one.
Yeah, that set us off
Bad
for the
idea.
rest of the night.
He said, bad idea.
We started off. I think it was the sun was up.
Oh yes, absolutely.
100% when we went to this first strip club, and this first one was like, I think it was like, D tier or whatever. It was like
D squad.
It was the entry
This is the
level
warm up group.
Yeah, and then we walk in and we were probably like the only people there. I think there was one other dude there. And we,
remember this,
we
yes.
sitting down in the front of this. I think me and I know I sat up on stage.
It was me and you.
Me
Sat
and
up on
you
stage.
sat up on stage too. That's right.
Doo-doo and Scoot
Doo-doo and
were all
Scoot
the
were
way
in the
in the
back.
back.
They were behind us. And the girl comes up and she's doing her routine on the stage, and they'll get up close to the edge. You've been now, so you've seen it. But the one you went to in Vegas, they didn't really have a good stage thing going on. So this one though, they have a
They could have had a
sit right up to the
sandbox.
stage. Yeah, I know. You could sit right up to the stage, and they'll interact with you. And a lot of times they do this thing, which sometimes it gets a little violent. Well, they'll get on all fours. They'll put their feet, their ankles, on your shoulders,
Right.
and then like pull you toward
I've seen these on videos. on
the
Instagram.
good parts,
Yeah.
right?
So this happened to Zach.
This happens to me, so I'm having a blast. Like, this is awesome.
Excuse me.
And she starts like shaking her ass, and I instantly, just like a reflex, just rear up and slap her ass.
I love that story.
Just pow!
He told me that, and I was like,
I gave it
kicked out, man.
I didn't like gingerly. I gave it a good little
Yeah,
you know?
you were proud.
It echoed.
Right.
I
Exactly.
like how
You
his
could hear
ability
it.
was to stand
Exactly.
up.
And I didn't see anything wrong with it. I just pulled out some more ones, like, hey, gave her some more ones, just made it rain after I slapped her ass. And so apparently, though, she looked over to the bouncer.
Yep.
The bouncer was like coming this way,
Oh, he was ready to
about to snatch me up by my collar and throw me out of there. And she looked over, and I think she like waved him off
She said
Did
it was
she?
okay
because
Yeah.
it was fine.
Because we're the only ones in there.
Because we were the only ones.
she
in
wanted
there.
to make
She's
some.
like, I got rent to pay,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, dude. If it was, it was like the first thing I did. As soon as I sat down, ass shaking in my face, slap. But if I would have like been there for a little bit, and been belligerent, that bouncer probably would have been like hovering around me. And if there was more people in there and I had done that, he would have snatched me up immediately.
Because if you had done that
You
in
can't
Vegas,
do that.
I
Just
would
so
have been
anybody
like,
doesn't know, you can't do that.
I don't know what I would have done if you'd done it in
Cannot touch a
Vegas.
stripper.
I would be like this. Then I'd be like, is that allowed?
I forgot where I was.
Because
You know
it's
what I'm
easy
saying?
to do.
It was just
There's
an
a vibe,
instinctual
man.
thing.
You're
Yeah.
with your boys in there. It's a good vibe. You're in New Orleans, which already has its own vibe.
Right. It was an instinctual thing. We already had 2 hand grenades. I was 3 sheets. It just.
You should have ordered those when we were in Vegas, because I was the only one that I feel like because I'm such a lightweight. Like you have to, you go first, and then I'll catch up.
Oh, I was drunk when we were there.
We should have ordered. You should have ordered some of
yeah.
those while we were there.
Just
We actually, after he slapped her ass, we were out there for a little bit. But after she was done, I guess off her shift, we all went back to the strip club and
We shared cigarettes.
Yeah, shared cigarettes. Well, I don't smoke, but it was her, Zach, and I guess Doodoo did. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so.
And then we all got her Twitter handle and all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
We swapped Snapchats and
Yeah.
like followed her on Snapchat for a bit and like talked and she
I followed
does-
her for about a week, and I was like, she
Yeah.
is
Yes.
ratchet.
Yes. That was that was entry level. at NOLA.
I need
There was a bunch of clubs in New Orleans.
We need to all go out. I need to tag along with
We
y'all
did
one
go
of these days.
to. We did go to.
You're formally invited.
We did go to
cool.
a couple more. I think we tried to go to that one. Wouldn't let them in because bitches have sleeves or whatever. And then another one we went
really
to.
nice one. Really
Went
nice.
to really upscale one. We went into this one, and the girls
Sapphire nice?
They were like Sapphire.
Oh, okay.
They were unbelievable. It was just the four of us, so we were like, all right, this is the place. Let's find a perch. Let's
Did
sit
you buy
here.
the bucket?
Let's get it. I'll get the first round. I was like, I'll get the first round. So they bring 4 like Bud Lights, something like that, Mick Ultras maybe. And I was like, oh, that'll be $58. I'm like,
Drink them slow. Drink them slow.
drink them slow.
Yes, we were there for a while, and I drank on an empty beer for a good
Yes.
hour.
Dude,
we were there.
I had already drank at the casino, the hotel we were at. We got into the club, and Zach's like, I'll get the first round. I'm like, cool, man, I'll get the next one.
Sapphire was like
So he
that.
brings them out. Just my drink was $22, just one. And then he looks like this. He was like, drink them really slow. And I was like, what do you mean? He looked at the price. I was like, oh, this is probably all I'm going to have. I'm glad we pregame before I got here.
Yeah, it was brutal.
They were $18 at the hotel a piece.
Yeah,
for
pre-gaming is where it's at,
for a-
especially.
for a Crown and Sprite, which is my favorite, it was $18 a pop. Now, they did make them good.
Okay.
It was worth it. It wasn't a weak
Pebbles?
drink. I mean, yeah, it was stout.
But still,
But still, like, dude, you're talking about, and I'm even a lightweight, but still, that's a lot of money.
a beer was $18.
Now, beer was $9.
Was it? It seemed
Not
like
at the
more
club.
than that.
Well, it's because we bought so many.
It was a lot.
It added up.
They added up.
It was ridiculous, but that's right because we did mixed drinks and beer at the same time. That's
Correct. Yes, sir.
In Key West, we actually went to, I think it was a normal bar, but we were on the rooftop, and
That's
it was
cool.
like
Did you want the nudist bar?
the nudist bar.
Oh, my
that was
God.
nuts.
You just told us that
was just
story
talking
at
about
work
that.
Friday. That was fantastic.
There's a lot of men up there.
Yep.
Who was the one that made the comment that you said was the best?
That was one of the guy that was in the wedding party. It was Jacob. He wore
Oh yeah,
he wore American, like it was like American overalls, like American flag
The
overalls
MAGA shirt.
with like a MAGA hat.
That's
and
right.
Like I think it was like a tie dye shirt.
I didn't think we was wearing that shirt.
Maybe it was. I think
was
it
just
was
the
just the bare
overalls.
chest. That's right. And then
He got the most attention.
oh, yeah, big time.
That dude
100%.
walked up to him and
Yeah, the
like-
dude walked up to him, and this guy walked up to him, and he was like, "Dude, I love your overalls, whatever." And he's like, "Oh, thanks, man. I love your." He looked down. This dude is wearing no clothes, so he's like, "Your cock."
I like your cock.
That's the only thing he could say.
I would have lost it, man. I would have lost it.
This dude
He wasn't wearing sandals or anything.
nothing. He was just butt
I would have
naked.
been laughing so hard.
But yeah, there was a couple of actually really attractive couples, and so that
That would be
made it
so
better.
odd, though. It has to be weird.
Yeah, but mostly it was a bunch of old, like middle age and 60s.
Like rough,
Yeah,
like
it was
gross.
rough, and they were
If you've
naked.
never
It was
been
gross.
to anything like that, I mean, you're like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, it wouldn't be a hard sell, but you guys will check it out. Like, yeah, absolutely. We got to go check it out.
Yeah, we
least
heard about it,
once.
and so we're like, yeah, fuck, we got to check
At
this
least
out.
once.
That's the same thing when we went to Atlanta, and they told us, like, you got to go to this bar where they have, like, this
Oh, my
66-year-old
gosh.
stripper. And you're like,
Was
we
this-
got to go.
6-year-old stripper. Who was it? Was
Little Bo
it-
Peep.
Did we buy one for Steve?
Yeah, you bought one for me.
I bought one for you.
It was like $20, and she like stood over my leg as I'm sitting in this thing or whatever.
Yes.
and she's like dancing, and she would pick up this, and she was seriously wearing like Little Bo Peep's costume. It was like all this frills
glad
and
you
shit.
did that for Zach.
So she
Oh,
picks up this ginormous dress, and then had her little, her panties up underneath.
Yeah.
And she's
She had her sheep.
already gone through menopause.
She had
Okay,
her
that's how
sheep.
old
She
she
had her
was.
little
Right.
sheep showing.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. She pulled it to the side so you could see what was and she's like, no touching, no touching. And in my mind, I was like, don't worry.
I'm not
don't
gonna
worry,
touch
I'm not going to.
Sitting on my hands.
Exactly.
literally said it
I
like-
don't want to be here.
Like 8 times. No touch.
No touching, no touching.
I will not touch you.
You're like, I can promise you're safe.
Funny thing is that we were there with a friend of ours, and she was definitely one of the hottest girls in there, and I saw her tits that night. And that was the best part about it. Not the actual...
Not Little Bo Peep.
Yeah.
But I didn't because I, of course, had to shit.
He was
Naturally.
So I went to the bathroom to shit, and while I was shitting, that was happening, and I missed it.
You miss everything.
I miss everything because I'm shitting.
I literally look over and her tits are out. I said, this is awesome.
Yeah, dude. That was the bar where Pete Davidson was there and everything. I think that same girl, she tried to. This was the classic Pete Davidson. If you ever seen any of his like
Hilarious.
interactions on the street, I can't remember exactly what he said, but that same girl that hot one we were with bought him. Told one of the strippers, gave her money, said go over there, buying a dance for Pete Davidson, right? So the stripper goes over there.
It was a drink.
Was it? I think it was
a drink. I don't think it was. Yeah.
It was a drink. And what did he end up saying? He ended up sending it back.
I can afford my own drinks. Fuck you.
Fuck you. Sends it back. So the girl says that message from Pete Davidson back to the girl. So I'm like, that's fucking. This girl was a 10. So I'm like, and Pete Davidson's just like, fuck you.
Now he's dating 12s.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So he was.
Did she laugh back, or did she say anything or wave?
Oh yeah. I mean, we kind of
That's really cool though.
They had the whole
Pete Davidson had that game back then.
Yeah, they had the whole area they had it all blocked off, so no one could really go up there and talk to him.
Yeah, the security guy or whatever was like kind of keeping him at bay or whatever. But yeah, it was Joel Kinnaman, it was Pete Davidson, and then the other dude, Jai Courtney.
Yeah, he's in the news again. Pete Davidson is. He's dating that.
Yeah, Emily Ratajkowski.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I think they just do it for show.
Well, I mean,
he's not an attractive dude.
He's not attractive, but he's catching a lot of these girls on rebounds.
Rebounds, and it's the dude is funny. That does.
I get it. He's funny. He's probably nice. He might be a nice guy.
He's famous. He's wealthy.
I heard he has
a big dong.
Oh, does he really? Like to okay.
Right. And he's got just enough game.
He's got big dick energy.
Right.
BDE.
That's it, dude.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is.
Makes sense.
What it is.
Good for him.
Because he's not like classic. Especially the women that he's pulling could go with the classic like handsome star, movie star type guy. So why are they?
Maybe they probably want to break from it. Truthfully, I
Maybe.
mean, you got to figure their pool is not as big as we think it is. If they stay within their own circle, if you really, I mean,
Maybe.
that's I would imagine.
I think it's kind of funny. I'm just curious, who is Pete Davidson going to fuck next?
He has that standard. So whoever he's going to settle down with is not going to be anywhere as beautiful as he's dating right now.
No.
Well, see, now the thing is like
he's going to settle.
He's it might be like a strategic play by him because he early on was bagging baddies, but now he's hit certain standard, and now other women are like, well, I have to as well.
If Kim Kardashian
exactly,
then I can't.
So now he's at this level. He's never going to go under that level because now it makes him more appealing that more at other.
Oh, he was with the Bridgerton girl. The only reason they broke up is from the distance.
Right.
I never thought that was going to work.
Like, after Kim Kardashian, I mean, she's
Hey, say what you want. She's hot.
It's funny too because he's not actually like super wealthy.
No, he's really not. No. Hell, he just left SNL. He's only done a handful of things.
Well, you notice they're not sticking around with him. He's not like he's a boy toy.
He's a fling
whatever.
right now.
He's like a plaything.
It's a conversation piece.
For him, like I've had a streak of good luck with some beautiful women, so it's the same thing for him. I mean, not to that standard, but I mean, you ride that streak until
you don't.
Rise up.
Yeah, I ain't mad at him.
Kudos to him.
Yep.
And it's publicity for them too.
We've all had that streak.
We haven't heard a lot about her, but now that she's seeing Pete Davidson, her name's out in the open too. Now I get it.
Yeah, you're kind of dating him to get your name out there more.
Yeah. Women used to do that with Dan Bilzerian.
They're still doing it.
They're still doing it.
Some women do that with Zach as well.
With this act? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, if they want to have an Asian on their belt, then apparently.
That actually makes a lot of sense. That is so funny. That is the best.
Yeah, dude.
And they get mad whenever they find out he's not actually Asian.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. They got to go sleep with an actual Asian
I'm
guy.
mad. I'm not Asian. Fuck.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that could be
Take that notch off your belt.
line. Have you ever fucked an Asian? You're about to.
Yeah, I guess I could. Maybe I should start using it to my advantage.
Absolutely.
Why not?
You know what I'm saying? Jackie Chan's.
Just learn a little bit just learn some Asian, learn some Mandarin or something. Learn something.
I guess so.
And play that card.
I can count to 10 in like Chinese, I think.
There you go.
Japanese.
Just start counting. And
from
oh my God,
karate, right? So yeah, they won't know.
It's so sexy. Like,
Right. Exactly. You want some of this egg roll?
they're gonna be like,
Jesus.
I did.
Not anymore. Yeah,
You're too Asian now.
I can't. If I lean into it too much, I'll ruin it.
Because then you'll start laughing, making your own jokes by
Correct.
yourself. And they're like, I'm leaving now.
Correct.
If you lean into it too much, it doesn't sound Asian anymore.
Right.
Right.
Now you just sound racist.
I'm just
Like, wait a second.
and nobody wants to have sex with a racist.
No.
They'll have sex with an Asian, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at Kanye right now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
He's untouchable.
That fucking guy.
He's a character.
He is. Lived by the Kanye, died by the Kanye.
Trump should run, and his VP should be Kanye.
Kanye West. Yeah.
Dude, I would laugh so hard.
That would be the wildest shit ever.
It would be hilarious.
Yeah, it would.
I just don't want them to run the country.
Yeah, I know. Let them. They should do like a.
It'd be like if Snoop and Martha Stewart ran it.
They should do like a.
They're a power couple.
They should make a movie like a buddy cop movie. You know what I'm saying? Like Trump and Kanye. Mm-hmm. Or they should go into business together or something.
No, Kid Rock's good friends with him too.
Trump should start a shoe company, and then Kanye can sell Yeezys.
There you go. Ben Shapiro would sponsor all that.
Correct. Oh my god, that shit would be hilarious.
That's good stuff.
Oh fuck.
I like it.
I'm over politics. Politics is annoying.
Is that why you still
I'm
listen to Ben Shapiro and watch it every single day?
Do you watch it every day?
I listen.
Yeah, he
I listen to it
stews
every
in
day
it.
and other stuff. But I mean, he talks more about culture stuff too. So I
That
get
makes
more
that
into
that actually makes me madder. Current events and culture pisses me
culture
off.
stuff.
It's just like in the way things are right now, like the whole Fleckus, like I can't watch but 10 minutes of that and it ruins my day.
Just it's mostly all just.
It's
all. Most of it is the height of insanity currently right now is all the trans stuff.
I can't handle it. It will ruin my day.
And yeah, I get you. It's fascinating.
That and what do you call it? Radical feminism. Those two are my bugaboos. I hate it so much.
Well, they're just so outspoken about it. Like, I don't mind you speaking. Like, you're literally making me feel like shit because I have a different opinion.
Yeah, like I don't mind it, if someone if we agree to disagree. I have friends of mine that they see shit warped, I think, but we still get along great and can have a conversation where it's like, okay, well, I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, but I'm not going to stab you when you walk to your car later.
Well, I
Like
mean,
it's fine. But
it's the audacity
for
of
them, it's like it's almost they're almost like
it's the audacity. I mean, you'll have like this 300-pound dude with a fucking 5 o'clock shadow and some lipstick and says he's just a woman just like anybody else, and I'm like, I can't go along with this. And if I can't go along with it, then I'm the bigot now.
it's
just
almost
the
there's
audacity
an
of it.
arrogance to it.
Right. The audacity of it is just like, no, I'm sorry. It's reasonable for me to say no.
Yeah.
Me saying no is reasonable.
I forgot what company put out. I guess I don't know if it's a skit or an interview, but it was two trans men that transition to females, and they're talking about how they want to have a child and whatnot. And then now a lot of women are like, why wouldn't you have at least one woman, like an actual woman, on there?
You're talking about Dylan, that guy, the two that have a podcast about being women. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not sure. I saw it on Instagram Reels, so it might be 2 weeks later.
Well, this is probably them. That's the most popular.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the ones that it was two dudes that are trans.
They're broing it out,
talking about being mothers or something.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Where they're like,
I was like,
I'm like, do what?
I mean, women create life. Like, you're good. Like, to be different from us. Be proud of that. Like, why are you
They're just shitting on women.
Yeah.
You're making a mockery of it, thinking that lipstick and a wig, now you're a woman.
Yeah.
Well, you're not, dude. You're shitting all over. It doesn't. No.
it's like someone said before. It's woman face. They're basically taking all the
exactly what it
stereotypical
is.
things of what they think women are and wearing it like a costume
making a mockery
and saying
of it.
they're exactly like other women. And you're not. I'm sorry, you're not. Women are not just hair, makeup, heels, dresses, and all that. Those are things that women tend to do and gravitate toward to separate for the rest of society the difference between men and women. But they're so much more than that.
That's
Like,
a
their
podcast.
psychology is different. Their biology is different. Their capacity to have children is something they can do that men can't do. Like, it's not just the clothes that they wear and their mannerisms and all that crap.
That's two dudes broing it out on that podcast. They're doing
yeah,
what we're doing.
Yeah,
Pretty
much.
For women. That's what that is.
It's like if I put on that wig over there in the corner.
Yeah, and that's just a mullet.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it was, I don't know,
From the South.
it might have been Jordan Peterson, but someone said a lot of this is just it's actually a fetish. They're fetishizing women.
See, I think that's
they're
what it
they're
is,
putting
too.
on
Yeah.
they're dressing up like women, and it's actually a fetish for them to do so. Right? They get their kicks out of it, but they take it one step further and say, "Well, I actually am a woman." When the majority of these people that are doing this, they don't actually have gender dysphoria, where they feel like a woman trapped in a man's body, whatever the fuck that means.
It all boils down to what makes you feel good.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's what it is.
Like, I feel like a woman on the inside. Well, how do you know what it feels like to be a woman? Because you're not one. That's the thing that never made sense to me. When you say you feel like a woman on the inside, you've never been a woman. So how do you know what it feels like to be a woman? Mm-hmm. Doesn't make sense.
I think you just quoted that Shania Twain song.
That's a good one.
I was just thinking
woman.
Yeah. You guys are in sync right now.
Yeah, man.
We do that sometimes. It's
That
weird.
felt great. Cool.
I just went from 6 to midnight.
That's a good one.
I went from midnight to 6 as a boner killer conversation.
Like warm lettuce. Like warm lettuce. You just wilted.
Let's talk about strippers again.
Exactly.
Let's sing that song.
I'm just going to close my eyes and take myself back. Ah, yeah.
I've actually walked into a strip club and met a former employee that I used to work with.
That was funny.
So that was.
Did you have the awkward talk? Like, what are you doing for work now?
She was hot as balls, too.
So, yeah, she was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Just enjoying the show."
Get a patron.
And I said, "What are you doing here?" She goes, "Working." I was like, "Yep, you're right. You are naked." So
I'm so proud of you right now.
We kept having to push you, like, you have to get a private dance with you. You have to.
No,
you have to.
you don't remember what happened?
It's conflict of interest.
So she was talking to me, and whenever I knew her in the past, she was engaged, and her fiance was actually really cool. He let me drive his car,
about that, yeah.
all this stuff.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And so I was like, so I asked her, I was like, "Hey, so how are you guys doing?" She goes, "Oh, we broke up." I was like, "I am so sorry."
Can I still drive his car?
I said,
I'm absolutely tore up.
I said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can I have a dance?" And of course,
Is that the douche coming out?
yeah. And then I don't know, one of you guys laughed at me, and so I went to go have a dance and whatnot, and then we go back out, and I was like, "Do I call you by your stage name or do I call you by your real name?" She was like, "You can call me by my real name." I was like, "Okay." And then we go all the way to the left of the stage, and she goes and dances and whatnot, and she comes and sits down next to me pretty much the entire time. And she actually taught me like stripper etiquette, how to throw ones at somebody. I didn't know there was an etiquette to that.
Wow, okay. So don't do what he did.
Yes, don't touch them.
Don't do what I did.
Don't wad up the ones and throw it at them like target practice. I found out that too.
You used to do that.
I did. I would wad it up and I would throw it at their buttholes.
You try to hit their balls.
It's a
Make it like a football.
It's like,
mean-
but you should have done like play paper football.
I mean, why would you not want to do
That's
that?
pretty good. That's really funny.
But that's the last thing I expect is to walk into a strip club and we're like, "Brandon? Who the fuck knows me?"
Actually, you'd be like, yes, I could be.
You're like, "What are you doing here?"
He's like, I'm working.
Here for you. Obviously.
I heard you worked here now.
I
Right.
followed you in.
That's a good question. If you had a past coworker, right, that you knew was really hot and they fell in hard times, or they just wanted to have a lifestyle change and they decided to become a stripper, would you go to that club to watch it?
I don't think I've ever had any
I'm just saying.
hot ex or like hot coworkers.
But yeah, I mean, but you have in the past.
you did.
But if you did, hypothetical, and they were
okay.
like, I'm a stripper now.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you go?
Well,
yeah, 100%.
Well, he didn't know she was there.
I know, but if he
By
knew,
accidentally walking in, sure.
If I knew she was there, I would definitely be like,
Oh yeah, I mean that's someone trying to put food on the table. Like,
got to support their dreams.
who
Exactly.
am I to be like, no?
Exactly. We used to be friends, right? Of course.
Yeah,
Right. It'd be rude if I didn't.
yeah. Like I'm not gonna walk and be like, "Ugh, how could you? And then leave. Like,
It's funny at that strip club whenever you go and get money out of the ATM. If you look on your bank statement, it says like golf course or something.
yeah. A lot of times they'll say restaurant.
I play a lot of golf.
They're like, my God,
I played 18.
replayed the same hole 10 times.
Yeah, I played 18 holes that day.
Fucking A. Shit. Well, we're like 2 hours into this.
Okay.
So we want to end this.
Yeah, man, wrap it up.
Do I need
Do
to
your shout- you gotta do your-
Should I do the outro the same way?
Do your shout outs too, man.
Oh yeah, we need to do a what? It's been like 2 weeks we haven't recorded. I feel like I'm rusty. Yeah, so we need to like, subscribe, share, comment. What anything else we got new going on? We've been trying to do more on Instagram for you guys.
The videos are fun. The you and I go
Videos
back
are
and forth
fun.
are really good.
Right. Although I feel like people that that's the reason we really need to get video going, because people that
Well, we will once the rooms.
don't know what we look
Well,
like.
once the room's done up.
They're gonna be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah, once the rooms are.
Although we did make a lot of Asian jokes, and you post that now, it makes sense. Like, yeah, he's clearly Asian.
Oh yeah, dude, Kylie called out immediately. I guess we got more guests on the lineup too. Probably this coming month we'll probably have two 2 more guests. I got Gage is coming on, and then isn't what do y'all call him, Scootin'? Dude, one of them want to come on too?
We talked about trying to get the whole.
If we couldn't get everybody together in the same room, we could do it over Zoom. Like, I mean, we could do.
I guess just let us know when you get more mics.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we can. I mean, that's not a big deal.
Oh, you said Zoom, you said?
Yeah, I'm just saying if we couldn't, I know everybody's got schedules and it's.
Yeah, we had a
it's
guy calling
weird.
from England.
Yeah, we can do it over a phone. I mean, all the equipment hooks right up too, so you could do it over the phone if we wanted to.
We could do that.
I know, but I kind of want to get Scott drunk, and then
It's a lot more fun in person. Yeah, it would be
We
better.
could bring this. I mean, this stuff's all mobile too.
That's true.
I love Hendersonville.
That's kind of the reason why we wanted to get this new board, because it's a little bit more mobile than the other thing. But yeah, so we could do a neutral site.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I do like the third. Having the third is fun. It just changes that dynamic.
y'all could do something like maybe like the national championship, and you guys can come down and we can have Scoot and Doo on it and me.
Oh, I'm also looking into merch as well.
Ooh, yeah.
So
like the merch.
I'm looking for hats, T-shirts. I've got a couple of contacts that I've been talking to.
I know we've talked about like changing the name. I guess fuck it, we'll just keep it.
I've actually been thinking about keeping it. I actually thought about adding Infinite Weekend with Zach and Josh. Like, make it a thing like Theo Vaughn's podcast is this past weekend. And I was like, with Theo Vaughn, I was like, it's actually not bad. Like, I think ours is okay. Like, plus, we're established now, and I like it just because that's our time of gathering. Everybody works for the weekend.
I don't want the name to hold us up from doing other stuff. So
I don't think it will.
Yeah, just keep it.
well, I'm
as
talking
it
about
is.
like we've been holding off on doing other things because we're thinking.
Oh
about
no,
the
I'm
name
thinking about
change.
just
So I said,
going. I'm
fuck
thinking
it,
about just
balls to
keeping
the
it.
wall.
Let's just go out because I'm thinking about. I've gotten contacts for banners and hats, and I've got a friend of mine that designs T-shirts. Like, we can really. Plus, because I stalk people on Instagram.
I would say just do that. I mean, hell,
I really do. I got
like
all kinds of people.
Cumtown. They changed like 200 episodes. Like they already had like 400 episodes and they changed their name. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, you can. It's our show. Do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly.
So
no one can say any different. All right, I'll make sure I've remember the sequence here on how to do this.
I just want to say I appreciate you guys having me on. It was fun.
it was a blast.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was fun.
Airing out my dirty laundry.
Yeah, I know.
This is what we do for therapy.
It helped me.
Thanks for not being a wuss to actually come on here and air it out.
I've only drank 2 beers instead of 6 tonight.
Yeah, I know.
You're already helping me.
Yeah, exactly. We're making you sober.
Or a household name.
Mainly because Zach drank half my beer, so.
Probably.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. I said I already had some. You could have grabbed them.
That was your fee for coming on the show.
Your fault.
It was 2 beers.
Yeah, so we'll have to do this again. I do like having on a third consistently. If we could try to keep that going,
We'll work it out.
Whatever.
All right, DJ Z.
All right, let me try to figure out how to do this. All right, bye everybody.
Infinite Weekend.